live. Welcome into the Source Say podcast, your go-to Kentucky basketball podcast on the KSR Podcast Network. Guys, I'm blown away. I mean, this is unbelievable. The crowd, we built it up in our head of what this day was going to look like, but it's so much better than anything I could have even dreamed of, and we're still 8 hours away from tip-off. Sean Smith, Zach Gagan, Brandon Ramsey. We have a whole panel of guests coming in. It's going to be just a couple hours of dudes talking ball. It's going to have an unbelievable time. Sean Smith, how the heck are you, buddy?
I'm fantastic. Look at this crowd. This is what Lexington's going to look like all day, and it's great to be here with you all. And we've never done this with all of us together, so this is pretty cool.
And we wanted to reserve it for the right opportunity, obviously, with John Calipari's homecoming. It's an emotional day. It's a tense day. It's an exciting day. All of the weird emotions. Brandon, I want to get your thoughts because you been there from day one. I remember at the time you fought so many John Calipari battles. What is your emotion today? How are you feeling waking up this morning in Lexington?
Thank you for asking, Jack. I think it wasn't even 8 a.m. this morning when somebody asked me on the elevator at the Hyatt if I was going to cheer or boo. So that made me really happy.
That's why we brought you on specifically so you would give your final answer.
I said you had to subscribe to my Substack to find out, which I have to figure out how to get one of those first.
KSR++.
Yeah, KSR++. But no, I mean, it is emotional, I think, for a lot of people because at the end of the day, he won a national championship here. He went to 4 Final Fours here. Now, did it end how he wanted? Obviously not. But I think it's interesting because we all kind of got what we wanted. A lot of people wanted him to leave town. A lot of people wanted a change of direction. But now that he's back, it feels a little weird. And some of those videos last night, you were talking about it, Jack, earlier, that like it was weird to hear him talking about a shoot-around in Rupp Arena, and it was weird to hear him talking about the emotions of being back in Lexington. So I'm going to do a polite golf clap for all of those that are interested. I think that it's going to be a fun game. I've said I've never spent so much money on an event that I just can't wait to be over. But I think that's probably how a lot of us feel today about this game.
Zach, I want to get your thoughts as well. Obviously, College Game Day was such a polarizing topic when it was announced last weekend. I understand the ratings side of things with the suits at ESPN. Year after year, Duke-UNC is the premier rivalry because it's ESPN propaganda telling makes his anticipated return. We haven't seen something like this since Rick Pitino did the exact same thing, although his path and trajectory was a little different. It was a little bit more venomous, and like that was different. But this is like a bittersweet day that you just don't get very often. And then you get to see the crowd on game day. Abysmal, absolute joke that we got to see. The Cameron Crazies were like lukewarm, I'm kind of sort of enjoying this experience. They were not crazy. Your morning, as we're covering this, your morning with the game day experience, and then showing up here and just seeing the pulse of the fan base and knowing what's at Rupp Arena right now.
Well, first of all, I have to literally eat this microphone while I'm talking, so I'm going to
take a bite out of the.
I'm chomping on it. I've been told it's clean. I'm just going to kind of take Stephen Peek's word for it. But I think Maria, who's sitting over here, actually gave us the best line when she walked in. She said, "It's busier in here than it was at Cameron Indoor."
But also, actually, literally, she's right.
They messed up. I think it's pretty obvious to say that ESPN kind of screwed the pooch on that one. They probably got there about 9:35, saw that Duke was only going to have 16 fans in there, and realized that, we may have screwed that one up. Rupp Arena is currently 300, 400, 500 students deep with people waiting into the building right now just to get their seats. So we actually have one of our interns, Katie Hutchinson, she's over there right now. Eyes on the seats, so I'm excited for that. But what I hated most about game day was they didn't pick 30 minutes before the actual pickings of the main games. I think they only picked 4 or 5 real games, but didn't even go panelist by panelist and break down the game. They just said Kentucky's going to win. We all picked them, and then James Hillis talked for a minute about whatever he was talking, about how Lamont Butler's injured. So it was kind of almost like a slap in the face. And when you look and you see you've got 2 Duke guys with an ACC coach on there, you're like, They really, the propaganda really is taking a hold on this one because this is, like you said, this is the biggest game of the season. for in college basketball. Like it just is. I don't even care if the blue tinted glasses are coming through on that one. It just is at this point. You're going to have this same UNC Duke game later in the season. UNC is bad. I understand Arkansas is bad, but UNC isn't coached by Coach K coming in right now for this. So like, this didn't make any sense. It was very annoying to watch the game day thing. I haven't watched a game day all year before then. I will probably not watch another one after that because it's just not that entertaining, to be honest. But that is my rant on College Game Day, and shout out to Maria for a great joke.
And it really was just, I think they realized in real time, Sean, that they made the wrong choice because the opening scene of Game Day was John Calipari getting out of his car. So they didn't even show, like, look at the Cameron Crazies. It was, here's John Calipari arriving to the scene in Lexington, and then they pan to the panel, and you get the 78 fans in attendance. And I like how there were some, fans. There was the opening picture of, like, the wide angle of just the up front row. There's nobody in the second level, and more fans filled in since they clearly filmed that. And people were responding with, like, well, this doesn't fit your narrative because there's clearly more fans. But if you look at even the best angle of the crowd, the entire upper row, the corners totally empty, and that's not even accounting for what was on the sides, what was behind the camera, and the venue is 9,000 seats. Rupp Arena, I don't know if they would have sold out the 20,500 they would have the way they did at the press conference, but knowing what we know about the post-game radio shows, knowing just the passion that's been around this program, there's no denying that the product would have been infinitely better in Lexington at Rupp Arena, as we're seeing with this crowd, as we're seeing with the fans camped out. And there's not even an event for them to camp out for besides what's happening at 9 o'clock. I mean, they're just there. They're just enjoying themselves all day long, playing video games, eating snacks, hanging out. That's what College Game Day is supposed to be about.
Yeah, and when you see the energy that's already here in this place, you know they kind of dropped the ball on where they should be today. And you get, like you said, Duke, North Carolina, you get it twice. This is the only guarantee, and it's not in Fayetteville. It's in Rupp Arena. It's John Calipari coming back to
Lexington. Only happens once. He only comes back once for the first time.
Yeah, and the other side, too, when you're talking about regular season ratings in an ESPN game in college basketball, is this one going to shatter? Because, Coach K's final game against North Carolina, that's a regular season game, but I'm willing to bet, Zach, that this one's probably going to be right there with it, maybe beyond it.
Oh, I totally agree. I think, you're going to have, what is it, usually 1.5 million, I'd say, is a good guess for most high-profile games. You're going to get millions of people watching this one. So if ESPN wants to miss out on the ratings, that's fine with me. I did want to mention Andrea Carter's great line from Game Day, though, which was, no one laughed about it because I don't think the panelists understood. That was too old for them, I think, that line of the way she said it. But she said, what's the worst thing you can do after a breakup is show up to the club with a downgrade. In Arkansas, the team they got right now, it would be the worst. It would probably be the least talented team Kentucky had here in the last 10 years, I'd say. Maybe, going back to the NIT year at the end of that season. So they screwed the pooch on that one.
And that was nearly our roster. And Brandon, I want to ask you, because this show is going to be, previewing the game itself. There is a game to be played. I know we've kind of forgotten that.
What about the cheer boo?
Cheer boo. Are we doing it? I'm going to ask you 7 times throughout the show.
Still clapping.
I'm going to ask you 7 times throughout the show. But there is a game to be played. It is a very important one for the Kentucky Wildcats to win. I've said on Sources Say a million times that the way the SEC schedule is set up, you have to take the wins when you can get them. There are no cupcakes, but when you can get the favorable matchups, the ones that you're supposed to win, you have to win those games. And there is no bigger one than Arkansas, 1-6 in the SEC. As molassesy as the offense is and the defense is okay, Arkansas is a game that Kentucky has to win.
You're absolutely right. I think that we've just gone through this stretch to start SEC play with 7 straight quad 1 games. Now, those are all important. Those are all how we built one of the best day, where you have to not screw it up, honestly, because we're only going to play, 3 or 4 quad 2 games, I think, in SEC play, and especially the ones at home. Those are the ones that didn't start to hurt you. This is a seed line loss, maybe, if you lose it. So, yes, does the win mean as much as going to Knoxville? Does the win mean as much as beating Florida? No, obviously not. But this is the first game where the loss hurts you. Kentucky hasn't really had a loss that's hurt them so far this season. So this game, for all the pageantry around it, for all the boo and clap pulls, the win or the loss genuinely is. I know it's cliche. I know I'm the basketball hardo of the group, but like, it is what matters because you cannot afford to lose to a subpar non-NCAA tournament Arkansas team.
Yeah, I totally get it. Sean, with the video last night with Jimmy Dykes, you get Cal, I talked to some people that were around Cal last night that, kind of get the pulse of like, hey, what's his mindset? How locked in is he? We got the video of him at the little like pre-shoot around last night, just kind of get the first little walkthrough there at Rupp Arena. They had it at Rupp Arena, storyline there. But it was a weird, nostalgic, like, he was different. It felt like he was back home, that the nostalgia was hitting him, the bittersweetness of like, man, I kind of wish that this ended a little bit differently. This was my home. This was my Camelot. But like with an edge of like, hey, I want everybody to know that I'm coming in here to kick your ass. Like this, I'm not doing this for funsies. Like I have a job to do, and that's to win the basketball game. Just like Mark Pope said multiple times this week, that yes, you like to, compete against like your brother and people that your family members, siblings, that it's your job to, get the bragging rights in the household. That's kind of how everybody involved is viewing it. So that's what's made it so funny listening to the talking heads that are like, this is why you should do X, Y, and Z. The guys that are actually involved are like, hey, I know it's a competition. We got to go work. We got to go play. But I thought his conversation last night with Jimmy Dykes was the realest, most, genuine version of John Calipari that I've personally heard in the last couple of years.
Yeah, and how wild is it took 16 years to actually have a shoot-around in Rupp Arena. But we'll actually see how that works. But no, you're right. And he has a sense of comfort in being here. But that comfort can quickly turn to uncomfortable when that building gets full of Kentucky fans tonight. So it was a weird feeling seeing him in red, seeing the Kentucky banner in the background of Rupp Arena, talking. Obviously, I'm sure he's taking his team through, the history of what he did here, the guys that played here, and former players. Showed Z, showed DJ, all those guys. It was weird seeing Tyler Eulis in the background of the picture that
did not look happy.
Around. It just
did not look happy.
It was one of those things where at no point could we have ever envisioned that this is what it would look like, right? Like that we never saw this coming. But I do think that he is comfortable being back here. But guys, I'm telling you, when that building's full of Kentucky fans tonight, whether they cheer or they boo, that comfort becomes uncomfortable because it's not his fan base anymore. Like this is going to be different, and you don't know how the emotions are going to hit. He's even talked about that. He doesn't know. Like, who really knows until you really get in the moment how you're going to feel? And that goes for, I think, even all of us.
Yeah. Will Cal cry? That's I want to.
No, I did think it was interesting when he was talking in that in the ESPN thing where he said that he can't look at like the friends that he knows because then he will kind of get emotional. So that tells me that he's going to kind of be maybe bordering on a nervous wreck going into this game, which I don't know how that plays into his coaching or not. But I think the interesting factor of all the emotional talk is like the coaches. Yes, Cal and Pope both have like emotional connections to this matchup and how it plays out. 90% of the players, well, maybe lower than that, but most of the players in this game don't. You've got 3 guys from Arkansas that came in from Kentucky. Everyone else on that team, besides the commits, really, and even the commits don't really have a connection to Kentucky. They never even arrived on campus and never moved in, any of that. Those guys don't have an emotional connection to this game. Do Big Z and DJ do, so maybe they have a reason to get up a little bit more. Kentucky has no emotional attachment to this game other than Mark Pope just wanting to not let the guy that he took over for beat him. Maybe Travis Perry and Trent Noah would be the only guys that are like, especially Trent Noah didn't get recruited to UK. Maybe he wants to be like, hey, I want to come out and hit 3 threes. If he hits 3 threes tonight, UK's winning this game by 15 points, obviously. But Travis Perry probably has a little bit of a chip on his shoulder as well, because if Cal was here, do we think that Travis Perry would even be playing at all? With the other freshmen that were coming in? Probably not.
Cal didn't even want to take his commitment. Like, just putting...
I wanted to say that without saying that.
Just putting that out there. The conversation was like when Travis goes to Cal and says, all right, I'm going to Kentucky. It's like, I'm not going to play you right. And Travis is like, I'm going to make you play me. And Kyle's like, but you know I'm not going to play you, right? And Travis is like, it's one of those like, I'm going to prove you wrong, coach. And he's like, all right, I mean, I'll take your commit. But, like, there was not – it wasn't one of those deals where Mark Pope at the podium, Sean, during his introductory press conference saying, hey, Travis, you, way out in the crowd, I hope your arm's loose because you're going to take a lot of shots for us. And it was like, who, me? Like, I'm going to be? And to his credit, Travis has had a pretty big role. But emotions are going to be high for the players, especially today.
Absolutely, and that's like you and I were talking on the previous episode of Sources Say that I think that plays in Kentucky's favor because Kentucky has a roster full of guys that doesn't feel like they have to necessarily prove anything in this matchup. Arkansas has a ton of guys that are going to try to go individual moments. I mean, this is personal for Adu Thiero. This is personal for DJ Wagner. Hell, it's even personal for the guys that are sitting on the staff with him.
Kareem Watkins.
This is a personal...
If Kareem Watkins comes in, something's gone terribly wrong.
This is
or right
for both teams.
Or right. Yeah.
Or Kentucky's winning this thing by 40 or 50. That's
I guess that could happen, yeah.
But
Kareem Watkins, he's a starter. He started last year, so he could, start at Louisville for a game. One game. Or was it 2 games? Kareem Watkins was a starter for a game for Louisville. Or not? No. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of Kenny Payne's kid. I'm sorry. I was thinking of Zan.
I had a brief moment where I was
Zan did. Yeah. I was like, my brain was malfunctioning. I was like, did he really?
I was like, I don't
talking about.
I don't
think so.
That's why y'all were giving me the looks of like this guy's.
That's the other thing too. This is Kenny's coming back. Not
Kenny
just
as well.
I mean, I know he obviously is Louisville, but like he's back in the building somewhere else. He's with Cal.
Bruiser.
All those storylines that we talked about for years when we knew Kenny was going to get let go at Louisville, we thought he would be back on this bench at Kentucky.
Probably would have been.
He's on the bench at Arkansas. So there's a lot of storylines, but I think the individual battles that Arkansas is going to have within its roster of Adu trying to do something, DJ trying to prove something. Kentucky has a team battle. Arkansas's not only got a team battle, they got individual battles that they're having to face tonight, and I think that's just too much.
Yeah. Stephen, how are we sounding good? Connection good? Is he eating the night in the...
I really have been like...
You're going to take that thing home with you.
All right, awesome. Brandon. Nice.
Oh, wow.
We love you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you. What has failed for Arkansas? Like guilty pleasure, like hate watch. I have watched more Arkansas basketball this year than any other opposing SEC team probably ever. I've watched a lot of Arkansas basketball. What is not working for them other than just the clunkiness of the roster? Is there any? Is it just as simple as roster construction?
First off, why are you so obsessed with Arkansas? That's kind of weird. I don't.
Because I love them. I love the individual players.
I do love Adu. I really do.
And that's nice of you.
Yeah.
No comment on Adu. But
your Twitter mentions are already.
Shut up, Mommy's already tweeting it.
No, I think what the issue with Arkansas is that we've just ran back another Kentucky roster of the last few years, but without the talent, like without some of the top end talent. Like there's not two.
There's no lottery picks to put on the bench.
Yeah, right. There's no lottery picks to be the 6th and 7th man. There's, there's not a generational rebounder to take care of business inside. This is a Kentucky roster from the last few years with lower end SEC talent. That's just what it is. And then especially when you consider the construction of only having 9 or 10 scholarship players, which is a Coach Cal special, and now you're running into that with some injury issues. They can't shoot. And then, oh, by the way, you lose your one good shooter and dynamic playmaker. Like I was actually surprised. I admit I didn't realize like Boogie Flane had one of the best assist to turnover ratios in the country.
He's leading the SEC in assists.
Yeah, when he went out. So that to lose him and then to essentially substitute his minutes for Billy Richmond, who's 0 of 3 from 3, like talk about like a spacing downgrade when you already didn't have much to speak of. To me, the roster construction and then just the lack of shooting, that's what is the downfall of this Arkansas team. That just quite frankly, especially with how great the SEC is this year, it's a bottom quartile SEC team. It just is when you look at it on paper.
Zach, what have you seen from this Arkansas team? We're going to get our buddy on here shortly and kind of get we're going to have a revolving door of guests and just different,
Start with an Arkansas guy.
Yeah, we're going to start with an Arkansas. We have 2 Arkansas guys coming on, but just your stance. What is not working for Arkansas this year?
It's pretty much like it's exactly what Brandon said. It's the same offense that we've seen the last however many years. Just not very much spacing, a lot of floppy action. Shout out to floppy action. I'm so happy that we're Zoom action now. So much. I
love hearing that at Mark Pope, Pope's presser. I loved I turned to Zach and was like, "There you go, bingo."
Zoom actions, but yeah. So it's the same offense, but just the players just aren't as talented. They just simply aren't. Like Adu's good. He could easily make an All SEC team. Boogie Flame was probably on that trajectory too. Like Boogie and Adu were both like future first-round picks in the NBA. Like those kids are good, but after you get that, the fall off is just very steep. Like at this point, who's their second best player? Like is DJ their second best player? You think? Like
Z's been playing really well as of late.
If Cal puts him in the game,
yeah. And John L needs to be, but he's not.
And you and I talked about this, Jack, yesterday. That, like one of the only fears I have going in this game is that John L. Davis remembers how to play basketball again and becomes the 18-point per game guy that he was at FAU.
One of the few guys that doesn't have an individual battle, and this one that we were talking about earlier.
But so does that make him more or less likely to shine in this game? You know, like it's hard to go into the minds of these kids, but
I would say less likely because I think the others are going to want to do so much.
That's a good point.
The ball's probably going to.
But you know, if he comes out and because like last night I watched the win against Georgia where that was not a good basketball game by either team. Like it was just not fun to watch. But John L had a lot of real easy, clean looks that he could have hit, and if he'd hit those, it would have just made the game a lot easier for Arkansas going forward. He just missed a bunch of them. He's just not that great of a whatever he was doing the last couple of years at FAU is just gone. I don't know if it's the system that he's in is just not helping with him, but like you said, like they can't shoot the ball very well. Even like looking at their SEC stats, like just in SEC play, defense is kind of what Arkansas is known for this season. Like they're good at protecting the rim, things like that. They're 10th in the SEC in defense through 6-7 games. So even that, they're not good. They're 15th in offense right now, so they really just don't do anything that good right now.
And defense is like the calling card. Like, well,
that's their one thing.
They suck offensively, but, man, they're long, they're athletic, they have some dudes that can defend well. It's like, yeah, but they're still, like, below average even for what was supposed to be a good defense.
And Brandon said earlier, talking about this game resume-wise, it doesn't do anything for you, but it crushes you if you lose.
Yes.
And this would be the one that Kentucky fans want the most, but it doesn't hold the most meaning to what you're doing individually, as a fan base and personally. It's pretty important. But now, I'll say this. So,
thanks, Brandon.
When we're looking at something like this, where we see coaches go to other schools and then have to come back and coach against all the time, but this is like is this the first transfer portal era where you've seen not just coach but key players, a full staff, a former beloved player in Tyler Ulis? Like this has a lot of extra juice to it that I don't know if we've seen before.
Yeah, no, and that's why I'm so happy that like you've got people like from Arkansas coming in to watch this. Like a lot of these Arkansas media members have been here since like Wednesday and Thursday because they know how much extra juice this game has too. You know, as not even people that have been around Cal like that, like we have. So there is just so much additional stuff going to this outside, and that's why Brandon was like, I can't wait for today to be over.
Yeah,
because I think a lot of people are getting to that point where like, man, we just want this to be over. Like, let's just hope that Kentucky can pull out the win and let's just move on and go from there. But it's going to be an emotional couple hours, so I'm excited for it. But we have joined us here. We have Anthony. We can turn it over to him and ask him some Arkansas-based questions, or he can introduce himself first.
Yeah, introduce yourself so fans know what they're dealing with. Enemy territory coming in here.
Yes, so I'm Anthony Christensen. I've now covered Arkansas for a little over a year. I think a year and 1 day. Exactly.
What a time to come.
What a hell of a year for you.
Yeah, exactly. I've been covering Arkansas for the Waco media conglomerate. It's a weird thing to describe, so I just kind of leave it at that. But yeah, just mainly covering men's hoops. But yeah, so it's been a wild year. Just coming in at the back end of the Musselman era, and then coming in obviously with John Calipari getting the job. It's been interesting. I'm always tired, but yeah, that's that.
What that first and second week of April, what was that like for you? doing this job? Because we know what it was like on our end when the departure happened and then the coaching search ensued. What was it like, accepting John Calipari as the Arkansas next head coach?
It was interesting because, I mean, on a personal note, I've been now out of college for 3 years. It's the third coaching search I've covered.
That's nuts. That really is crazy.
So I went to Mizzou. My senior year, Conzo Martin got fired, and then there was the coaching search that led to Dennis Gates. The first job I had out of college was covering the University of Evansville, which kind of ironic.
We're familiar with them. Yes.
The Purple Aces. So
that hit close to home.
Yeah. So they fired Todd Licklider right as I was finishing up my senior year and hired David Ragland, so I helped out with the coverage in that. And then I come to Arkansas, obviously now a year ago, and Eric Musselman leaves and had to do it all over again. So I may have, relative to experience, the most experience covering coaching searches in the country. But yeah, it was an interesting time because if you remember that, I mean, Arkansas just kind of bounced around because at first it was okay, it's probably going to be Chris Beard. And then Chris Beard comes out and says, I'm not leaving Ole Miss. And then it's okay, well, maybe it's going to be Jerome Tang. And then Jerome Tang comes out and says, I'm not leaving Kansas State. And then now it's after that, you're just okay, where do you even go from here? You hear people, bounce around different names like Bucky McMillan or, Amir Durahim, rest in peace. So a lot of different things are just kind of bouncing around, and you're hearing rumblings that there's this candidate out there that you're not going to need much introduction for, and everybody's just who could that even be? Because I mean, who's going to move at that stage of the off season? And I remember I got a phone call from my boss, and he's like, "Hey, do you have anything pre-written about Cal?"
His boss's name, by the way,
Matt Jones.
Matt Jones.
Us too. All of us.
Yeah, so he calls me and he's like, "Do you have anything pre-written about Cal?" Just because obviously you pre-write hiring stories and all that. And not even registering that it's going to be John Calipari, I think that they've scheduled a home and home with Cal Berkeley. And I'm like, no, why would I do that? And he's like, because I think they're going to hire him. And that's when it's oh, wow, okay. So
was that the first time you heard Calipari's name pop up?
Yes, it was. And it was later that night was when the news officially broke. Mm-hmm. And so we're scrambling that whole day trying to A, confirm it, and B, just be prepared for the news to come out. So that was an exhausting day. I'm not sure I've ever consumed more coffee.
Agreed. Same.
Yeah.
It's a busy week.
So it was wild, and it's. I mean, me personally, obviously, I consider myself Big J journalism, so I come through everything with a neutral perspective. I've had fun with it. That whole saga was exhausting, but I've come to enjoy the coaching searches.
Keeps you
just
busy.
Because it's, especially, at that point of the off season where I'm not covering the team or, because I'm not doing as much baseball and softball as other people on our staff. It was giving me something to do, and, obviously it was a wild conclusion. But yeah, it's been interesting for sure.
So how have the fans, from that moment, the initial excitement of we got the Hall of Famer, we stole him from Kentucky, those initial kind of excitements versus where things are, even I would say the first couple of losses, the ones that they probably shouldn't have lost. Obviously now it's at a all-time low or however you want to describe it, but when you started to kind of tell that it was this may not be as sunshine and rainbowy as fans maybe hoped for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think there was some signs kind of early that maybe we just kind of ignored as team gelling and stuff like that, because they, in the second half against Pacific, at one point it was a 2-point game. Lipscomb kept it close for the most part, and Lipscomb at this point is their third best win, which is according to Ken Palm.
Yeah. That's weird to say out loud.
Yeah. Which Lipscomb, shout out Lenny Acuff, good coach.
Yeah. Kentucky got to win over them. No slash. We respect Lipscomb, but relatively speaking, it's not.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, exactly. So I think there were some signs there. People are okay, but the team's still gelling. It kind of got run off the floor against Illinois, kept it close against Baylor, but you kind of didn't really feel like they were going to win either of those games. And then you get into SEC play, you open it up, with the big loss at Tennessee. That's when people were like, oof, okay, maybe this is still, kind of, and then to follow it up, you lose to, and I don't remember exactly how the schedule went because all the games kind of run in my head, but you lose to LSU, you get blown out by Missouri, you struggle at home, you keep it close against Florida and Ole Miss. Really probably should have won at least one of those games with how you played. And now that Boogie Fland is out too, I mean, I think the stat is like 24.5 points worse off per 100 possessions without
makes sense
without Boogie Fland. So it's all kind of culminated to where now it's like, okay, people are pretty upset, it seems, and I think rightfully so. When you look at you hire somebody like John Calipari to maybe try to avoid that rebuilding year. When sometimes I guess it's unavoidable, which you look at different coaches in first years around the country, others are having a lot more success than than others. Right here in Kentucky, you've got Mark Pope, who's been fantastic, and you've got Pat Kelsey, who, right now those are probably the two front runners for National Coach of the Year. So you've got those two guys who are having a lot of success, whereas you have John Calipari, who's not having the success that maybe you want in year one. So it's an interesting dynamic, and I think people are pretty upset with how things are going, while also I think there are people who are still hanging on to that. I guess, it's year one. A lot of times year ones aren't always going to be that great. So it's an interesting little, I guess, mix of opinions, if that makes sense.
I want to ask a question. It's only been, 2 games now without Boogie? 3 games? 2 games? How big of a difference has that been from your perspective without having Boogie? Running the point. Yeah,
I think you see the offense doesn't flow nearly as well without him. Like I said, I think, and maybe the stat isn't exactly correct. I remember I read it, so maybe I'm misremembering it, but it's 24.5 points worse off per 100 possessions without Boogie Fland than they are with him. So obviously that's quite the drop off.
Yeah. Yes.
And I thought that with Boogie running the point and DJ Wagner kind of playing in more of an off-ball role, I thought that worked pretty well for the most part until Boogie ended up playing. He was pretty clearly playing hurt, especially against Missouri.
Yeah.
Apparently he got hurt against Florida, so he was playing through that injury for a couple of games, and now obviously he's out indefinitely, or if you ask John Rothstein, the rest of the season. So it's certainly been interesting. And then since then, I think you've kind of, if you're Arkansas, you kind of have to win ugly, which they did against Georgia, and they almost did against Oklahoma. So you kind of have to mucky the game up, kind of play it in the dirt and kind of force teams to maybe play in a way they're uncomfortable. Like going into this game, you can't, if you're Arkansas, you can't allow Kentucky to get hot from 3. You can't allow it to become a shootout because Arkansas just doesn't have the weapons, especially without Boogie Fland, to compete in a game like that. So it's going to be interesting. I know. Yeah, it's
How are our old buds doing? Aduzzi and DJ, like just in terms of the expectations coming in, what you guys thought those 3 in particular were going to be based on what they were at Kentucky last year, in terms of hitting or meeting or exceeding those expectations going into the year.
I think the one of those 3 that you have to point out is Adu Thiro. He's been the MVP of this team minus Boogie. You see just, the growth year by year, just from last season to this season, just how much he's grown on the offensive side of the ball, just how much, I think more confident he is driving to the basket. Maybe you want to see him add more range, add more of a 3-point shot than he has, but I think you've seen in different points of the season he can do that. He's just more effective driving to the basket. So, and he's worked himself into NBA draft conversations, just based on what I've heard and talked to with people. So it'll be interesting to see if he tests that again this offseason. But I think of those 3, I think he's had the biggest jump. Then you have, I think DJ Wagner has probably been pretty steady from what you would have expected from him, especially working in more of an off-ball role, but now that he's needing to take on that primary point guard primary ball handler role. You're seeing, I think, over the last couple of games, the most common assist is DJ Wagner to Adu Thiero. If I remember looking at the analytics correctly, which maybe I'm not. But
we trust you.
Yeah, I'm doing my best. But and then Zvonimir Ivisic, he's the interesting one because he goes into the season that there's the infamous, or not, maybe infamous is maybe not the right word, but the preseason press conference with John Calipari where he says, I don't want Z shooting any threes. Which
infamous is a good word for that. Yeah,
I forgot he said that actually.
Yeah, so he goes into the season with that expectation. Then he hits, I think it was like 5 of 7 against Troy, and then after that, it's like I want Z shooting 5 threes a game, and he goes into the season starting with Jonas Adu obviously kind of injured in that first bit, and then Jonas Adu comes back and he's playing off the bench, and then he gets hurt with his ankle injury, so he's kind of struggling to get back to that, and then he comes in and it's different because he's not in that starting role anymore, so he's kind of playing like 5th, 6th, even 7th, 8th man at different points. So he's, I think, maybe struggled with just a role inconsistency, if that makes sense. Just kind of being pulled every which way and just being told, do this, do this, do this, do this, to where I think he struggled. I think the last couple of games, especially since he had a really nice game against Missouri, which you can't really say about anybody else on the team.
True.
But I don't remember his exact numbers, but he was efficient. He shot the ball well. He maybe hasn't been as efficient as he was in that game and the 2 games since then, but you can see that he's kind of embracing more of a role now that he's kind of recovered from his ankle injury and frankly needs to kind of take on more of a role, even with Boogie out. I know that's not necessarily who you think when you're talking about a point guard, but he had 4 assists against Oklahoma. That was, I think, second on the team behind DJ. So, he's kind of taken on more of a point forward role, maybe, which maybe that's one of the antidotes of not having Boogie. We'll see. But it's been interesting to see those guys for sure.
Somebody in the chat, if you have any questions, I got that pulled up so we can answer from some of them. Jordan Bell ask him why they say Thiero wrong. The entire year they tell us it's for 2 years that they tell us it's Adu Thiero, and then he magically shows up in Fayetteville and now it's Thiero. What happened?
I think that's, and I could be wrong, that's how it's pronounced on the pronunciation guide.
Right.
So I want to say that's how he wants it to be pronounced now, which, and again, this could be wrong. This is just kind of me trying to jog my own memory just because now I've been saying it like this for so long. I want to say that's the way it is, just because that is how it is on the pronunciation guide. It's like hero.
Yeah.
So that's just funny. UK let us say Thiero for over 2 years. They would say it in the arena.
In our pronunciation guide, it said Thiero because when I remember, so Sean and I were on our show the day he got the offer. We were like, who the heck is this guy that randomly popped up out of Leetsdale and awesome high school numbers or whatever? So we initially just reading the name, it looks like Thiero. Yeah. So we do a whole show about it. There was a time we did Thiero, and we were just, we had no idea where we were going. Yeah, we were just talking, we were just yapping, and
usual sources
we get to UK, and he says it's Thiero. UK spells it out for us. We're like, okay, I guess so. And then it's no, you guys had it wrong the entire time. So it's just been very weird for us to watch him emerge as the guy we kind of thought that he would eventually become, at some point with the spotlight and have it be Adu Thiero. We're that's what we said it was good. We had his name right. You guys had his name wrong. And then now it's back to being correct.
Yeah, it's because I pronounced it Thiero until the season started when everybody was like, actually, it's Thiero. It's
and make you feel dumb for it. You're like, no, why would you ever think it's Thiero? What idiot you are. It's that's what it was.
It's been
whatever.
Yeah, so.
Man, Tennessee's kind of taking it to Florida right now, 46-33.
Wow.
Does it shock you at all?
And I'm seeing my alma mater in a dogfight with Mississippi State, so that's fun.
The Missouri, the journalism school over there. 37-13. Missouri's winning that one. Yeah. Got any more questions for Anthony before we get Jacob on?
So what is the expectation going into today for a casual Arkansas fan? Is there a hope to, not hope, but is there, hey, here is a path for us to go win this game, and what would the backlash be if they lose?
Backlash-wise, I'm not sure that there's much from an Arkansas standpoint, just because with how the season's gone, especially in SEC play, like, you probably don't expect to win this game. And I don't mean that in like a derogatory term or anything like that, just because with how the season's gone, you just don't really expect it. Like, I think it's Arkansas is the underdog. So if they, come in and win, like, I'm sure people would be obviously ecstatic. So, but the expectation, the pathway for Arkansas to win, I think it's like what I mentioned earlier, like the way they played against Georgia and Oklahoma, and obviously Kentucky is on a different level than those teams. You have to make the game gross.
Yeah.
You have to,
Cal's good at that,
dirty the
though.
water. Yeah, and especially with a game where I'm sure he's motivated. I'm sure the 3 guys who followed him to Arkansas, or even I guess 5 if you want to include Billy Richmond and Carter Knox.
Right.
I'm sure they're going to be motivated to come in and try to win this game, just because of the external factors of it. But I think Arkansas has to dirty the waters. They can't allow it to become a shootout. I don't know why I fumbled on that word for so long, but can't allow it to become a shootout. You can't allow Kentucky to get into its rhythm and play the way Kentucky wants to play. Arkansas has to dictate the game to have a shot in this, like they did against Oklahoma and Georgia in those 2 games. So I think that's the path to victory. I think you have to find DJ Wagner finding a Thiero on the move quite a bit.
Thiero.
So
he's back where he was Thiero. Like, yes. If he's going to be a Rupp Arena, they're going to call him over the loudspeaker Thiero.
But I think that's the path. But if Arkansas loses, maybe if it's really one-sided, I think then you'll see people be really upset. But if it's like a standard loss, we're doing well.
We got Matt Jones on the loudspeaker right now.
Matt's screwing us.
He's going to do a little introduction real quick.
But yeah, if it's just a standard loss, I think it'll be just kind of
We'll play through it, yeah. Stephen, film this.
On your card, if you want, on your table, there's a little card there from DraftKings. That's 100% profit boost on any college basketball.
DraftKings shout-outs.
I just wanted to tell you, somewhere in the country, you'll get a better deal than that. Thank you all very much for coming. It's a little bit behind, because honestly, we didn't think people were going to start getting here until like 3 o'clock. So sorry about that, but we'll get it out to you quickly and again. Thanks. Go Cats.
Here we go.
Circa Sports.
Yeah, I guess I shouldn't have shouted out DraftKings, huh?
We're a Circa Sports podcast.
Circa Sports, shout out.
Anthony, it was great talking to you, man. We're excited for this game, nervous. It's kind of a weird energy for us here, but we appreciate the facts and the explanations of the drama of the game has, I think, gone above and beyond what the actual game is itself. So we appreciated the actual insights of the ins and outs of this matchup. So you did a great job, man. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, and I'm excited for it. Just from the neutral point of view, it'll be a fun one, I think. So yeah, thanks again for having me.
Thanks, Anthony.
Appreciate it, man.
So, how are we feeling? Vibes still good?
Vibes are fine. I think I told you this last night. It hadn't really hit me, the nervousness of it all. I'm still not really nervous. There was a point at like 10 o'clock this morning where I was like listening to music and I was like kind of bouncing around the house. Like I just had my coffee, so I was really feeling myself. But I was like, man, I'm excited for this game. Like I'm ready for it. Like I know we've got the full day to like kind of hype ourselves up. Like it's only 1:45, so it's 7 hours before this game's even started. Like we've got a bunch of stuff that we got to do until then. So still not nervous.
nervous?
Really? I'm getting excited.
You don't get any? You don't have anything?
My nerves will kick off the second that Rupp Arena shoots off all those fireworks and it stuns me and me and Jacob jump on the media road. That's when
you guys got to get used to that. You got to.
It's impossible. They're right in my ear.
I'm not nervous because just being honest here, I lost all confidence in John Calipari being able to win games here.
Oh, fair.
Let alone there
with the worst team
coming here. So, I mean, wonder if the PA guy says Thiero or Thiero.
That's a good.
Because I wonder if
it's the same guy, isn't it, for UK? Who's done it for the last.
So I'm just wondering if it. And then again, when you think about this too, from an Arkansas standpoint, if there are some fans that are still like, we still got John Calipari, maybe we'll get this right. Tonight's result could fully shift it. Like, this isn't working out. Because this is probably the one they probably waited on the most.
Yeah.
Hey, Jacob.
We
got Jacob here.
What's up, buddy? Of KSR Plus, not KSR Plus, what we were talking about earlier. If there was a KSR Plus, you would be in charge of it. Grab the mic and stay a while. You're not.
Let's hang out.
Enjoy yourself.
As a Kansas fan.
Yeah, as a dumb, idiot Kansas fan wearing the wrong jerseys, Bill Self-loving, bad person. Jacob, we love you, buddy. How does an outsider view a game like this? Like, how do you go into this knowing?
I think it's funny you just referred to Jacob as an outsider.
Outsider now, all right.
Yeah. Our emotions with this game.
I'm really getting hit. I've been here 5 seconds.
This game means more to us than almost any other on the schedule. For you, I'm sure you're going into this, you tell me, that you're just going into like, hey, Kentucky should win the game. It's weird. Like, what's you covering the team while also not being connected with the team?
So, I understand the magnitude of this game, and like, I was covering Kentucky when Cal was here, so I think it would be different if this was my first season covering the team. I'm really excited for this.
Hey, just make sure I want to.
The difference.
Swallow the mic.
The difference.
I've been chewing on mine.
The difference for me is that I lived through it, but I wasn't a Kentucky fan during Cal's golden years at Kentucky, so I've kind of leaned more like, why don't you boo? He left. But I don't have that connection to that title run and the Final Fours and all of that. So I feel like that's where my mentality kind of differs from most Kentucky fans.
Would you boo if you were just a fan at this game?
Yeah. Yeah, I would. But I understand why fans will cheer.
Yeah. I'm almost switching. I know we're talking about beer cheer stuff.
Dog walking
cheer
right
stuff,
now,
but
Florida.
I'm almost kind of like I used to 2 days ago I would have said the whole stadium boos him. I think it's going to be like a 50-50 split now. Not to get in a whole boo cheer debate again, but I do think it's swinging towards more of a positivity type.
I came up with something new last night. Katie, my wife, hates it. So you guys might love it.
Sure, we'll hate it too.
Do we think that he gets any type of intro video? Like,
yes.
you know when a player gets traded to another team in the NBA or NFL, or not NFL necessarily, but NBA especially, the trade happens, they come back to their old home environment, and there's always a tribute video. Every single time there's a tribute video, but you don't see that as often with, and it's like free agent decisions too, guys that leave on their own accord come back and they get their tribute videos. Do you think that this could be a game where they give any type of tribute?
They're going to acknowledge it in some
You think?
aspect.
You have to.
I don't.
It would be disrespectful
so
not to.
Awkward if they just don't acknowledge it.
I mean, I think it would be awkward if you don't.
Yes.
And just because
you can't gloss over.
But if they play the tribute video,
it's going to
then it's going to flip people. It's going to lead to cheers. Like, you can't watch the best moments of John Calipari, Anthony Davis, messing up his hair with the national championship trophy, all of the, the John Walls and DeMarcus Cousins, and all of the brilliant, beautiful moments that we've seen with John Calipari. You can't show those and then have people screw that guy. Like, that's not going to happen.
Well, what if they show the St. Peter's loss in that video too, like sneaking at the very end?
They wouldn't.
And maybe that's why they do it, though.
They want.
I'm sure
I
Mark Pope wants
UK would probably prefer fans cheer.
Mark Pope probably wants them to cheer for John Calipari.
Yeah.
Like, I would assume that's what he would want. So if they show that and the timing's right, do they show it before he's out there with the team? I don't know. Like, it is interesting to see what UK does cook up for this, because they're in an interesting spot where you still have a meaningful game for you SEC wise. You're the ones that are in like the thick of this thing. Arkansas's not. Like, you lose this one, like Brandon said earlier, it could drop you a seed line because this would be the first bad loss.
Where did Brandon go? He didn't leave, did he?
He's still here. He
I
said
was about to, we have so many people here.
Probably
all these people are here for us.
We'll get him back on here later. But
look at this. But I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, like, it is interesting to see what Kentucky will choose to do when it comes to the pregame videos. Like,
I think you have to.
Do they light up the 2012 banner and not the others? Like, there's all kinds of things that they can do here.
So if they're going to do it, the time to do it is they go through the lineups. They'll, Adu Thiero, DJ Wagner,
who will all be cheered.
They'll go down the list. There will be a pause. Then they will play the video before they do and now John Calipari. They won't do that. If they're going to do it, they'll play the video and then say, welcome back, John Calipari. That'd be the only way for it to do it. And I think if that's how it unfolds, I have no idea if they're going to or not. That would lead to, I think, a unanimous cheer. I don't think anybody in the building would boo after seeing the Final Fours and the championship and the excitement. Would that be intentional? Or do you want that? Like, is that something you want?
Do any of his former players show up tonight?
Cal's?
I'm
trying to think of who would.
Just any, like
I feel like it wouldn't shock me if, like, Jeff Shepard's here. Not a former Cal player, but I could see that happening.
They brought it up on KSR. I think the one guy that makes all of the sense in the world is Willie Cauley-Stein. Willie
he lives here.
He's from here. He's been outspoken about, like, hey, I am a Kentucky fan. I'm here to support the University of Kentucky. That's where I went. That's where he's getting his degree. Like, that's my school. But I'll forever love John Calipari. His wife, went to Arkansas as an alum there. Like, that one makes too much sense where it wouldn't be a polarizing get. Like, John Calipari would appreciate.
He will probably be
presence.
the Y tonight.
I think if I were to, like, if there was a Circa Sports betting line, I would say that the Y would be Willie Cauley-Stein.
Assuming Ellen made the trip too.
She did not.
She did not.
Cal said multiple times that she's under the weather. I don't know if that was just.
That's I guess not surprising too in a way. Like, I don't know if she would have.
She might actually be sick. If I were her, I probably wouldn't want to come.
Well,
back,
it's an emotional night for everybody.
Yeah,
like like I was saying earlier, like the emotions that we're talking about right now and the way that we feel, you don't know until you get in that environment how you're really going to feel. And it's just going to be it'll be a weird night, and we've waited forever for it to get here, but can't wait for it to be over. Like Brandon said it so well earlier, like, cannot wait for this thing just to be over with, and you flip the page officially and you've moved on. But because the next time that you play Arkansas, it won't feel the same.
Right.
Like the first one and coming back here, it's always going to be tough.
Yeah. Super Python 98. Thank you, by the way. Super Python, you get that. We love you. You're incredible. Ask Jack if he has any uniform scoop. I have bad news, guys. It must be the denim. The whole ensemble. It was for nothing.
It's flexible.
There is no denim. It's not going to be tonight. I'm sorry. Matt Jones, you want to slide in here? Jump in. Here, I'll hand you this one so you don't have to swallow the mic. I don't think that'd look great on camera. What's up?
Here, grab this one. I'll snap this.
How are the vibes? How are you feeling?
Well, first of all, look at how many people are here. So obviously, hello, Maria. How are you, stranger? So people are excited. I mean, we're 7 hours from the game, and it's already like
there were people camped out last night at like 9 p.m. for this.
I was going to say out here. That would be weird. I drive. I live right there, so I drove by, and the line is crazy already. Yeah, and as somebody told me, they're not camping out to cheer. You know what I mean? Like the kind of person that camps out's not coming out there going, I want to have a respectful round of applause when the game starts. So I think we know what it's going to be.
Has it flipped it off for you?
I think this is my first time I've been on this show.
I think so. You have an open invite whenever you want to come on.
I don't think I have ever been on this show before, so thank you. I've been trying to get on for a while.
No, you haven't. You could have asked.
No, I'm not going to ask. You don't ask somebody to come on their own show.
But if there's one person
I asked Saturday Night Live if I could host all the time. They don't put me on.
How are you handling this game emotionally as a lifelong Kentucky fan, somebody who this means more to than just about anybody?
Yeah. I mean, it's not. For me personally, it's just like I want to win so I don't have to listen to people. You know, I for better or worse, like Cal was great here for most of the time. I know that, but like it's not like I last night watched that video compilation that Alex put up of the one play from every Kentucky win of the Cal era. It was an hour and 22 minutes. It was awesome. I was like, this is a lame Friday night on paper, but I'm enjoying it. And it was awesome to think about those games when I would see it and the memories of where did I watch that game and all that. That was a really cool thing. With that said, though, there's not mixed emotions about him coming there. It needed to end. And so it did. And I think it'll be nice when this is over because I think it is hard for fans to not compare to Cal. And I think after this happens, that will happen less. It won't go away, but I don't think it'll happen as much.
Did the Jimmy Dykes interview change anything? Like
no, I thought he's the best at that stuff. Like I mean, he's
different though.
What do you mean?
It felt him back home and his.
He's not. This isn't
his old.
Yeah, this is his stomping ground,
right.
But it's not his home. He's not going to live here when it's over. He's not like this is his stomping ground, and he was wonderful here. And I'm sure he has emotions. I'm sure he does. How couldn't he? But so did Rick, so did Tubby. I'm sure Billy Gillespie has great emotions when he walks in. Like, I mean, that's part of this. So that doesn't surprise me. I wish him the best. If I was an Arkansas fan and I saw that interview, I'd be like, you are coaching here, on some level. But, I just want it to be over. I don't want us to lose. The big thing is I don't want us to lose because there's so many good vibes right now. It would be the first thing that would knock it down just a little bit. So I don't want us to lose.
We'll wrap up with this. What do you think is going to happen today? Like, what do you expect?
I think we either win by 20 or it comes down to the wire and we all go crazy. Because Cal has one good game. Like every year, if you look at the last few years, I don't care how bad we were. I mean, the COVID team, we won at Tennessee, right? Every year we won at Arkansas once, if you remember, where we thought, and Antonio Reeves went down there and had like 35 points or whatever. They do one of these every year. He's going to have a game, whether it's this one or when he's going to take one of these teams on the road and either beat them or almost beat them, and I just don't want it to be us. So I think we either win by 20 or like there's going to be a free throw at the end of the game that decides.
Oh, God. Are you nervous?
Yeah, I mean, I'm anxious. I'm not nervous. I think the win against Tennessee made a big difference.
Yeah.
Because if we had lost against Tennessee, then there could be a world in which this steamrolls out of control negatively, and like even the tournament starts to be So I'm not as worried about it now. One thing you can tell about Pope, it doesn't matter what they did the game before. They might still win the next one.
Yeah.
What, you disagree?
No, I do. I feel 100 times better having just the monkey off their back. The 3-game losing streak going into this one, I think, would have been very scary. It would have added so much more to the game than what it is right now. I feel like you're kind of playing with house money a little bit, having that in your back pocket.
Can't lose to Cal.
No.
How are you two doing over there, by the way? I never see you guys. I'm actually going to the game. I haven't been to a game all year in Rupp. I'm going to go. I want to feel the...
How much will you actually be sitting in your seat
I'll leave
watching?
For the game. I'm not going to watch the game there, but I'm going to... That hour before the game, I think Rupp is the coolest. I've gone... Since COVID, I haven't gone as much now that we sit up in the... it's not the same. I mean, when I first started, we sat on the floor, right?
Now they have you on the roof. Like you're sitting on the roof.
Higher, so it's better to watch at home. But I think about all the years that I've been doing this. There's a certain vibe that when Pitino was here, the Louisville games, they were like that. Those 2 Carolina games, the Wall and Davis year, Auburn a couple times with Pearl, Florida in a few of those years, and there's just Kansas, what was it, 2 or 3 years ago when they came in. There's just something about the pregame environments in those that I think is the coolest part of all this, and I just want to go be part of it.
What was your favorite John Calipari memory, since we're being nostalgic.
Oh, that's a great. The run in 2014, because it was so unexpected, and it felt like at the moment it was a validation for Cal's system. It was literally all freshmen. They had struggled all year, and he had this belief in them that everybody questioned, and then in the end it worked out. And I felt like if you were Cal, that was the most validating year, right? It's because you beat all these teams that did it the way they told you to do it. You did it. It was his Frank Sinatra moment. He just couldn't close it out. I mean, he just lost to UConn, or else it might have been. Well, first of all, if he wins that game against UConn, he's probably the coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to talk about what might have been. If he beats UConn, he probably goes and coaches LeBron in Cleveland. Think about that. We don't have the 2015 team. Like, who the hell knows what happens if that happens?
And then he would have been like the Rick Pitino, leaving on the highest of high.
He would have been. He would have been bigger than Rick Pitino, because he would have had 2 national championships in 5 years. He would have had 3 Final Fours, and that would have been. But 2015 to me though is his best. It's his best team. I mean, go back and watch those Alex Weber highlights. Go look at the scores of those games from that 2015. We were up on a team 86-20. Did you know that? We were up on that team. We were up on UCLA 25-0.
I remember when the arguments used to be you would be up by 50 and fans would leave with, the second TV timeout in the second half. You'd be like, why did you even come? Like, what's the point? And now you're just starting to see those fans in the second half, like leaving at the last segment or whatever, whenever it's a 20-point win. It's like, this feels familiar.
Yeah, we haven't had that in a while. But, so don't get me wrong. There were some great moments. But and just not to continue going back to that thing, watch the athleticism difference from the early Cal teams to the latter ones. Just watch, because he gives you the best highlight of the game. Watch the Wall, Davis, Gilchrist, even the Twins. Terrence Jones, I forgot what a beast he was athletically. The 2015 team, it's everybody, but even Fox, Monk, Bam. And then watch the last few teams. Not quite as many of those plays as there were back then. Well, thank you guys. I don't know. You go back to your thing, and I'll let whoever's at come eat the mic some more.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate you. There we go. That was fun. Awesome stuff there. Yeah. I think John Neighbors texted, making sure. Yeah. I'm texting him right now.
What's your favorite Cal memory?
My favorite. At Rupp or all time?
Just John Calipari, Kentucky memory.
I mean, it's a cop-out, but it's got to be 2012. Although there was a nervousness with that game of we have to get this done. We have to get it over. I think the unexpectedness, like Matt said, of that 2014 run, we got John coming over now, was where you just didn't believe that you would be in that position, and then it just kept happening over and over and over, and that just made it so cool. It made it so fun. You want to hop in here? We'll have Zach. Yeah, we'll do that. John Neighbors, what's up, buddy? We're flipping rolls. Yeah, that one works. You have to eat the mic on this one. So.
Oh, cool, because nobody wants to see my mouth anyway. So
there you go. There you go. How you feeling? Do you even have nerves? Like, is it just a...
I tell you, I don't know if I can say this, but I'm going to say it anyways. If my nipples were any harder, my clothes would explode. I am so pumped up for this. I've never been more excited for a game that I know my team's going to lose, but I'm excited to experience it, and I've accepted it. So that's where, if you put your expectations low that Arkansas is going to lose, no matter what happens, I can either be met with that expectation or I'll be overly surprised.
What is the casual Arkansas fan's expectation going into tonight?
Honestly, no pressure.
Yeah.
It's gotten to the point, and I think we talked about this, but it's gotten to the point almost where Arkansas fans look at this as, it's Arkansas and Kentucky. This is Cal versus Kentucky, though.
Yeah.
Arkansas just happens to be the team that Cal is coaching. This would be the same way if Cal was coaching at Vanderbilt, at Tennessee, or any of these other places. And so Arkansas fans, almost like as a true spectator, will just going back and saying, all right, well, let's see what happens. Because the only story is about Cal, and that's fine. But if Arkansas wins, they're going to be cheering. They're going to be awesome. They're going to be pumped up. But I think Razorback fans understand that this isn't Arkansas, Kentucky. This is Cal and Kentucky.
And whenever you guys want to jump in, I'm not trying to just have a one-on-one interview, but how long is the leash for John Calipari, do you think? Like, do you think that this is we had Anthony on earlier before. Do you see this as like fans accepting of a rebuild season, or however that looks like under a John Calipari coach team, or do you think that there is kind of an impatience of, no, you came in here to win immediately and win at the highest level?
I mean, I think it's really about, like, this is your 1 year type of deal. Because it's one thing to be a struggling team or whatever, but to go out there and actually not even make the tournament, that can't happen.
Yeah.
And that's not anything anybody expected. So the first impression being that is a rough one. However, I think Razorback fans in general understand that, you know, sometimes you're going to have a year, and the only hope that they can put in is like, hey, this is Cal's 1 year. You know, he just had a rough one. He's going to be better next year. Things are going to turn around. But this better not happen again. So as far as the leash goes, to making the tournament, if he has this type of year next year, changes need to be made. Plain and simple. However, if he goes to the tournament, does some good things, whatever, it's going to buy him a few more years, but next year is the year where it's going to be make or break for Cal.
Give Kentucky fans a couple of reasons to be nervous about Arkansas. What are some things that they can do to make this a game and maybe even pull off the upset?
I have no idea.
You had a whole show yesterday saying, here's how Arkansas wins.
And it was a bunch of BS is what it was. I was just throwing things against the wall and seeing what was working.
Hey, at least
he's honest.
Yeah,
he's honest.
I mean, because that's the thing. Is like, I could sit here and talk about, well, you know, if they do these type of breakdowns and if they get down there in the paint, you know. No, this team is not really good at one particular thing. They've not been consistent in anything. The only thing and the only way that I could see Arkansas being good in this, having success in it, and possibly winning this game is two things. One, as you guys I'm sure have talked about, Duke Hero going off because there's no answer for him. That has to be the first, second, and third thing that happens in this game. If Duke Hero doesn't have a game, Arkansas does not win. It's not even close. So he has to be able to do that. And the other thing, I believe, and I'm using him as an example, but it could be somebody else. If Big Z just has one of those games where he goes like 5 of 8 from 3,
which we've seen,
he is capable of
in this building.
Yeah. So to me, those are the only two ways. Yeah, there'll be other things too, but those are the only two ways that if you told me, hey, Duke Hero had his best game of the year and Big Z hit a bunch of threes, I'm like, okay. But the problem is that Kentucky's really good offensively. You guys know this, and Arkansas's defense has been sometimes good, but a lot of times lackadaisical. I kind of put it this way, that Kentucky has to have a bad game, and Arkansas, or at least those two particular players, have to have the best game of the season for them to have a chance. Y'all should win this game. You should win this game going away. It should not be close, but it'll be hysterical if y'all lose. I'm just going to be honest. It's going to be hilarious if y'all lose.
It will be. One more question. I'll let Sean jump in. John L. Davis, what's kind of been the issue with him? He just doesn't look like the player from FAU. Is there anything you can pinpoint, do you think, or is it just he's still trying to adapt to what Calipari's trying to preach?
Listen, there's the excuse making for John L. Davis by fans and by people for all season long now it's over. There's no more. In the beginning, he was dealing with a wrist injury, and he wasn't able to practice as much. In fact, the exhibition games, the tour of Arkansas, whatever it was called that they did, he didn't even play. He didn't even participate in the scrimmages. So a lot of people, myself included, were saying, okay, hey, new team, hard. The wrist, I hear the wrist is pretty important when it comes to shooting. You got to get those things right. Well, then it seems like he gets it right, and it's still no good. And he's just, my theory, my reckless assumption here is that at FAU, he could be the guy, you just give him the ball, do all of that. But at Arkansas, as an older guy, he sees these younger players coming in, phenomenal players, guys are really athletic. Cal saying, okay, we're going to do it this way. I just don't think he's been able to adapt to where, hey, you got other great pieces around you too, or other guys that they want to feature. And for him, it's just been more like, not being able to figure that part of it out. And he's had a couple of okay games, but by and large, he's been a massive disappointment. And it's so bad that I don't even think Razorback fans, and I hate this, but they've almost become resentful of him. Just like so many players that have expectations. It's one thing for a true freshman, McDonald's All-American to come in because, as you guys know, some guys get it right away and go. Other guys, it takes a little bit. But this is an established college basketball player that played in the Final Four. You proved you could do it at this level. So for you to come in here and just be missing is inexcusable and one of the weirdest and craziest things ever. He's only got a few games to figure it out. So, yes, sure, but that's what we've been saying it all the time. Of maybe this will be the Nelly Davis breakout game. It is yet to happen, and we are 20 games in.
Our one concern going in was he's the one guy that doesn't have an emotional attachment to this. He has no Adu will go out there and try to go 130 miles an hour and make a statement. You could see Big Z. He's kind of just like, hey, I'm here for the party. I don't see Big Z getting emotionally invested in it, but he may DJ even like a Carter Knox and a Billy Richmond, knowing the what could have been side of things. John L's the one guy. It's like, what do I have to lose? Everybody's doubting me. I'm going in. Nobody expects me to be the star. That's the one. John L going for 30 tonight is, I think, if you're looking for the one big concern on Kentucky side, it would be he magically figures out how to play basketball.
Well, I just don't see any of the things that y'all have been saying all week, and I've been listening to y'all stuff. I've been listening to fans and everything. They keep saying these things of if Nelly does this, he hasn't done it all year. So I don't think you should expect it to happen. Maybe it's just because of PTSD at Kentucky fans where they feel like this is going to happen. Maybe
yes, it is.
And I can.
You know what? You know who caused that? Your coach.
Yeah, and I get it because trust me, as a Razorback fan, my entire life, my initials are PTSD. I get it, but it comes down to this: the only way I feel like that Nelly Davis has something of that type of caliber of a game is if Cal's just here's the ball in your hands all the time. That would be the only way. And then he still has to be able to work through it because his confidence is shot. And if he gets off to a good start, maybe hits a couple threes, something like that. But that's another thing that people may not realize. Last year when he was at FAU averaging 20 points a game, about 36% of his shooting was coming from the three-point line. This year it's over 60% of his shooting coming from the three-point line. And that's not his game. And that's not what he needed to be. And so it just seems like the fit. It's always about the fit. Nothing fits. He doesn't fit. But the only way that maybe he can get it back is, hey, here's the ball. Go do things. Maybe he can create and have something happen.
What was the first warning sign of this might not be what we signed up for?
And there was a few of them, but I would say the biggest one for me was the game in Waco against Baylor. Arkansas only lost that game by 3, so it wasn't this horrible loss or anything like that. But there were just so many opportunities that Arkansas had where they could have won the game, done something to win the game, and they just didn't do it. And it seemed like at the end when somebody needed to make a play, no one wanted to. It was just like they were scared. And I understand that every team's different, the DNA of every team's different. But when I saw that, I'm like, you have all these dudes, apparently, these guys who are not just true freshmen, guys that played at Kentucky last year, guys that played at FAU, at Tennessee, wherever, and none of them wants to step up and just, hey, give me the ball. That was a massive red flag for me, and it's not really gotten any better. And obviously, Boogie Flan was the guy that alleviated a little bit against Michigan in Madison Square Garden because he hit those game-winning shots. He hit the free throws. Dude was awesome at the end, but now he's out for the year. So seeing that and then just seeing the approach Cal had in his press conferences, you could kind of tell, I'm like, I don't know. This doesn't feel good. I don't think anybody feels good about this. Because he even said after the Michigan win in the press conference, talking about the league, the SEC, it's great, guys. It's a good league. Where are you going to find the wins here? We might be the win for for these teams. And we said that after a win against Michigan. I'm like, don't like that, because that means there's an option that it could be Arkansas's the win.
We also didn't have a ton of confidence if this had been Kentucky's team instead of Arkansas's team. Like with this group of freshmen that they've got at Arkansas, with what the roster could have been from the portal, we didn't have a ton of confidence in what this year would look like had he been in Lexington.
Yeah. Well, I think that what provided that is, we talked about it. The freshman class this year and the one that Cal got was not elite compared to other freshman classes at all. And we all knew that going in. What people were banking on was getting Nelly Davis, who was the number one portal player, getting a Jonas Adu, who was phenomenal at Tennessee defensively, especially being that physical guy down low, and then being able to get guys like Adu Thiero, who could alleviate a little bit of that too. I know DJ Wagner, people have certain feelings about him, but an experienced SEC guard, and then Big Z kind of being that wild card,
whatever happens.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So I think that's where people were banking on. It's like, all right, well, as long as Nelly is Nelly and Adu is Adu and Adu Thiero is Adu Thiero, this team's at least going to go to the tournament.
Yeah,
and that's what's been such a hard thing for people to grasp. Is it's not just that Arkansas's not good; they're not making the NCAA tournament, and nobody would have ever guessed that in a million years that'd be the case. So it just got so bad so quickly. People don't really know what to make of it and what to think.
Does Lamont Butler, when you see the injury report, availability report last night that Lamont Butler is out, what is there there's our path? What is the reaction knowing the value that he brings to Kentucky and how having a stopper at the top of the key, perimeter defender, maybe the way Arkansas gets downhill, the way that is kind of their game, and is that a potential path? Maybe I'm coming up with reasons for Arkansas to win. I'm trying here.
No, there is no game on this SEC schedule. I'm not saying Arkansas is going to go 1-17, but they might though. That's what I'm saying. Is I don't see an SEC win the rest of the way. Now that's saying they could find a way to screw around and win. fall ass backwards into something like that, maybe, but I'm not predicting it until I see otherwise. That game that they won against Georgia was gross. It was just like Naismith, turning in his grave type of thing. Watching
he took his peach basket away.
Yeah, it was.
You guys didn't deserve this.
It was awful. And then you follow that up with a very, very winnable game against Oklahoma at home in front of a pretty good crowd, and you just crap your pants. So I don't see any game that Arkansas can win. So you can sit here and say, well, this guy's out, or hey, this guy's been struggling, or whatever. Does not matter, because Arkansas has gone up against teams they should have beaten. They gone up against teams that were missing some of their best players, and it hasn't mattered. They got 20-piece by Missouri on the road, and Missouri looks like they're pretty good, but for a team like Arkansas, that expectation, it shouldn't be that way. So yeah, you could say the starting five got the flu and they're going to be out, and I'm like, all right, well, it's going to be a big game for the bench, and the second stringers are going to come in. It's just how I feel.
Is this a close game though?
I think so. I'm hoping so. I'm not going to be surprised by anything.
Yeah.
But I have felt like there's two most logical options of how this game ends up in the result. Will be either Kentucky blows out Arkansas or Arkansas wins by one possession. To me, that's the only thing that could happen in these two games.
That sends chills up my spine.
And I know, and that's what I have laughed about with Kentucky fans. I go back to me saying it's going to be hilarious. Because Arkansas fans, hey, if we win this game against Kentucky, does that, oh man, now we're back in the bubble? No, it doesn't change anything. It's like, it's like a deck chair being blown off the Titanic. It makes it lighter, but it doesn't make a difference. Nobody's going to care about that. But it'll just be hilarious because Razorback fans know how much y'all want this. And we're like, if they win, great. If not. But then to just see the result and the emotional reaction that everyone would have here, and to see Cal in that press conference being Cal, hey, guys, this is a good team. I said, good team. Coming into Rupp, it's a very great team. Just a great team. And he'll be very complimentary, but it's a very emotional time for me here. All that nonsense. And we'll just be laughing in Arkansas. He's this gave us nothing. This did not change our life whatsoever, but it'll just make us feel a little bit good that it hurts you guys in a little bit.
Do you think beating Kentucky could maybe push them into a mini win streak? Maybe For the whole, or is this more of a Cal thing than an Arkansas thing?
No, because they got Texas coming up after that on the road. They're not going to win that. And then they welcome a team called Bama, and so they're going to win that. Like, if Arkansas wins this game, it's the exception. It's not the rule. Because we thought, beating Georgia, you're going to go on a run. You lose to Oklahoma at home. Like, you lay an egg against the Sooners. Like what's his name? Porter Mosier got asked 2 questions at SEC Basketball Media Days because nobody cares. So, no.
I asked him one.
That's my point.
I asked him one. I said, "What do you think about Mark Pope?"
Yeah, I would have asked him, be like, "Do you think Brent Venables is going to keep his job next year?" Because it just shows y'all nobody cares. So, if Arkansas had won that game against Oklahoma and they were going on a 2-game win streak, I would have felt at least like saying, okay, maybe, and getting this week off, maybe. But no, that's what they followed it up with, and I'm going to be curious to see how Kentucky handles the pressure, because there is pressure. There's pressure on these players. There's pressure on Mark Pope. There's pressure on the fans. Are they going to come out and feed off of it, or are they going to come out and get in their own heads? And I'm just going to sit back and smile no matter what. I'm just going to enjoy it. I'm just going to enjoy the ride.
You have a fan in the chat.
I'm sure I do.
Nobody even knew who Neighbors was, and is he the only struggling with this here? Some words are out of place. Only reason anyone does now is because of the BBN. He is the douchiest.
Well, here's the thing. That fan, I doubt that you're in Arkansas, and I doubt you're a Razorback fan. So, just to say, there's probably a lot of Razorback fans who know I am. But, I don't really care if you know who I am or not, because you're not my audience. You're not my demographic, so it's fine. But I appreciate it. Hey, you're watching, you're listening.
Pigpen says, I watch John every day. So we have some
yours, buddy. How about that?
We have some fans in here. Was Jimmy Dykes' interview last night weird to you?
Everything Jimmy Dykes is weird to me. Like, everything that dude does is weird to me.
Cal's side of the interview in the Jimmy Dykes conversation.
Yeah. I mean, did
it bother fans?
No, it didn't bother, because the fans are just...
they feel like they're a sideshow
but it's that, but it's also like, we do not care. Just win. We don't care if you do anything with us. We don't care if you're seen with us. We don't care. Just win. That's all we want. So if you want to do a weird interview with Jimmy Dykes, great. Just win. But when you're not winning, everything sucks about you. But no, because I felt like Cal in that interview said all the same stuff that he's been saying, that we've heard him say, and the 2 times we've talked to him. And it's just nonstop. So there's nothing that can be said or done or addressed at this point in time that is going to upset any Razorback fans as far as this connection, because I put myself in y'all's shoes. Razorback fans would feel the same exact way y'all do if the roles were reversed. It's the same exact way. I mean, for crying out loud, Houston Nutt in football was our coach. I hated that guy. Still do. But he went to Ole Miss the next year after he left Arkansas. And we wanted them to lose so badly, no matter what. So I get it. And Cal's been here on 13, 14 years, whatever it was. So I totally understand it. That's why as Razorback fans, we're fine. Because it's like, we'd be the same way. Yeah, and even if, I'm not saying this would have happened and maybe it would have been as bad, but if Eric Musselman was y'all's coach and he left Arkansas last year to come play coach here, we'd be pissed. We'd be obsessing. And we'd be mad. It's the same way. So I get it. I understand it. I respect it. It's just, it's nice being on the other side for a change, because I feel like we were always the one that were mad.
So do you think tonight's finally a turn the page for both sides in this?
I'm trying not to swear. I sure hope so. Because listen, y'all have been great. Big Nation's been awesome. Lexington's been awesome to us. We're very appreciable of all.
We did it, guys.
Yeah.
Welcoming.
Especially all y'all on Twitter. But
in the YouTube chat.
Yeah, in the YouTube chat, apparently. No, but y'all have been awesome and been great and everything. I'm just hoping that we can get past this, because Arkansas and Kentucky should be enough going up against each other. And it may take a game or two, or a year or two, to get to this point where it's over with. But no, I want to get over it, just because it needs to be. I want to get to a point where we're talking about Arkansas versus Kentucky, not Cal versus Kentucky. So I'm hopeful for that. I'm sure y'all are too. And with Mark Pope, I like the guy. It's hard not to like him. I want to say bad things about him, but I can't. He's a likable dude, and you guys got a good team. I'm just going to be the NCAA tournament's what's going to be y'all's thing. What y'all do there? Because if y'all lose in the first round again, I may say something. I may
what do you have to lose? I mean, you're like,
it's like, oh, yeah, it's just thank God you got rid of that guy that was losing in the first round of the tournament every year. But no, I mean, it's all in good fun and everything. But I respect Mark Pope, and I understand what y'all are going through. It's just, it'll be funny if Arkansas wins tonight.
It will not be funny. We will hate it, but it's weird. The nerves and the emotions and all that, I do wonder if there is just that's again, maybe I'm just talking myself into it because that's what we do with this fan base, but there is just like a back of my mind, like a dude's going to go crazy, Z's going to go crazy. It's going to be just that he gets one of these every single year, and this is going to be the one. And I just don't know. I don't want to know what the reality on the other side of that looks like.
But here's my take on that, which I get. It would be one thing if Arkansas had won some games or something, but they haven't even been close in most of these games. Like, it's not, they lost to a bad LSU team on the road. I think it was by 4 or 5. That's the closest SEC loss that they've had. Most of them have been by double digits, some of them 20 points. The non-conference, they haven't looked great. The Miami win at the time or whatever looked good, but then they get smoked by Illinois up in Kansas City. There's just not been any games that they've even been close to. So for them to go out and have this great game would literally go from being trash to being that's such a massive jump that it would truly be one of those things with, man, Cal really wanted this one. And, hey, Cal, why don't you do that more often? Like, why don't you have that type of performance more often? I just see no way, shape, or form that Arkansas wins this game in any capacity. I really don't. So I just don't understand. Again, I get your nervousness, but if I'm a Kentucky fan, I'm walking tall into that building.
I think that's what scares me, though.
It's how Kentucky just went to Knoxville and won. You know, it's just like down a starting point guard. Nobody thinks you're going to go win. You're a double-digit underdog. Why not? Like, what do you have to lose if you lose this game? People are expecting you to lose. That's the only caveat to that. Two questions. Do you have anything else you want to ask before we wrap up? I'm good. 2 questions.
Okay.
Does John Calipari get tossed?
I hope so.
2, if he does not get tossed, or if he does, I mean, he still technically could talk, will he do his post-game press conference?
Well, here's what I'm going to say to all of that, adding to the hilarity of what would be this. I hope he gets tossed. I really do. Because as y'all remember, he got tossed in Fayetteville as Kentucky's coach a few years ago, which, by the way, still to this day, I've been going to games in Bud Walton Arena my entire life. That moment, not the game, but that moment was the loudest moment in Bud Walton Arena history, by far.
Super Bowl.
Super Bowl. Yeah, let's get that started. But yeah, so I hope he gets tossed just for the sake of, it'd be fun. Again, funny, content, entertaining, and all that. But would be the icing on the cake is if he gets tossed. And similar to what happened before, Arkansas wins, and it's Kenny Payne is the one that coached him to the victory, and then he meets with the media in the press conference, and
I don't even know what I would ask that guy. I have no idea what I would ask Kenny Payne at a press conference.
We didn't know what to ask Kenny Payne when he won it with y'all, but that would be the best thing ever.
Games.
You know, former Louisville great coach of 5 wins or whatever. He gets his 6th win because Cal gets ejected at Rupp Arena and he beats Kentucky. I mean, that again, hilarious. It would be like a sitcom that you'd have to write something like that on. I'd die laughing.
Well, John, this has been an absolute blast. I appreciate returning the favor after coming on your show a couple of days ago. Have you enjoyed the ambiance, KSBAR, doing that kind of daily setup thing?
Oh, you went to Local Taco?
Yeah, went to Local Taco. It was awesome. I mean, every place that has been here has been awesome. Again, people have been great. We went to Carson's, which was a great spot. We've been to a few of the late night areas. Checking those places out.
Goodfellas too.
We went to Goodfellas.
Was that good?
Yeah, I like Goodfellas. The atmosphere and the setup of it was really cool.
Yeah,
it was unfortunate. Yeah, unfortunately, it was raining outside that night, so we didn't get to experience that much. But no, every place has been great. People have been great. Lexington's not what I expected. I'll say that. But
in what way?
Well, okay, so from Fayetteville is very much a college town. Now you have Springdale, Bentonville, Rogers above it, and the further north you go, it's more of like you feel like you're in Dallas because of Walmart and Tyson. I don't know if you heard that. Tyson's based in Arkansas. Yeah,
Wait.
yeah. It was in all the papers this morning. Yeah, it's they sell chicken. Yeah. So, but all those money people up there. So, like up there, but Fayetteville itself is a very college town. It feels like it. I think our tallest building's like 9 stories. So I was expecting something, because I've heard good things about Lexington. I was expecting something similar. So when I get here, and it's like a hybrid of like a city and a college town.
Yeah.
But again, it's been great though. It's been awesome. People have been awesome. I will say this too, and this is just an observation. I've been to other college towns in the SEC for football games and whatnot. I have never seen a city wear their like Kentucky blue or their team colors and shirts more than this city. Because I came here early. It's not like, today. No. Like on Wednesday night, every place we went, people were wearing Kentucky gear. And that's cool and all. But it's just strange, because if you go into Fayetteville and on Dixon, you'll see some people wearing Arkansas stuff, but people are wearing, it's because blue is just a good color, because you can go with a lot. Yeah, maybe that's the case, but it's just one of those things I thought was really strange. And I've been to other towns too. Just the only one I've ever seen that's done that. So you guys got a great apparel, apparently. Nice apparel company here.
We're proud of it.
Crazy.
You people are crazy, as some famous man once said.
Yeah, I saw somebody retweet that today and say
we're going to come to your town. And we're going to beat your team.
Yeah. Well, listen, I'm just hopeful
You're
that
gonna hate me.
Yep. I'm hopeful that he can have some good one-liners that we can cut. He's only had like 2 of those this year for Arkansas. Yeah. So I'm hoping that he can give some really hot takes and everything.
We hope that's not the case. We hope you go home sad, or whatever your emotion, apathetic feeling is. It's kind of weird. Whatever that emotion looks like, where it's not a positive one, we're excited for you. This is awesome. Thanks, man.
I appreciate it.
This is really fun.
Hey, I'm a Razorback fan. Nothing can hurt me anymore. I know how it is. So it's been great joining y'all. Appreciate your hospitality. Appreciate y'all having me on, and it's been a lot of fun. So Woo Pig, Hogs by 90.
Go Cats, baby. All right, grab Brandon. We'll kind of start winding this thing down. Have your thoughts changed at all? You talking to all the experts and different personalities here?
Them not having any hope in a victory kind of scares you a little bit, right? Just because I still feel like all the pressure is actually on the opposite. I think it's all on Arkansas because of just the individual battles that we've talked about. But I'm sure if you go ask Arkansas people, they probably feel like they are playing with house money because they currently don't have an NCAA tournament team. Kentucky does, but I just think, if you ask me, I still think the pressure's on the other side. It's not on Kentucky.
I was hoping to not open that because I was wanting a Club Blue beer. I've been wanting one, and I just haven't gotten somebody to come talk to me for it. But I'll go get one. But until I get one, Club Blue is the official collective partner of the University of Kentucky. Club Blue was founded by UK fans strictly to support the NIL efforts at the University of Kentucky. Unlike most collectives, 100% of subscriber money and 100% of donor money goes directly to NIL. Club Blue charges no fees. Club Blue subscribers receive some amazing benefits like invitations to special events, meet and greets with UK athletes, signed merchandise, monthly giveaways, ticket giveaways, Club Blue merch, and more. Subscribe today at www.clubbluenil.com. You get to pick which sport you want to support when you sign up. Choose your sport and support with Club Blue. I want to double check with our friends at Circus Sports Kentucky what the latest odds are right now, but it opened at double figures no matter where you looked. Brandon, does that scare you at all? That even the odds makers have no faith in Arkansas right now?
No.
Welcome back, by the way. We've been kind of doing this roulette of
it's time to get those Arkansas guys out of here, right?
Yeah, get the hell out of here, guys.
No, I think it makes sense. Even with LeBron Butler being out, even with Kirk Risa being out, even with a potentially limited Andrew Carr, we just watched this Kentucky team going to Tennessee as double-digit underdogs and put up 78 points. What did Florida just score in Knoxville? 40-something? 44, I think, maybe. So there's no reason to believe that if this same Kentucky roster that's going to take the floor tonight is the same one that took the floor in Knoxville, there's no reason to think that you can't win by double figures against this Arkansas team. So, no, I think that line is completely fair, and hopefully we'll see them cover the number. What is it now?
Circus Sports Kentucky, -10.
Minus 10.
Over-under set at 154.
I still feel pretty good about that. I would hope to see a double-figure win tonight. Well, I hope to see a win tonight. It would be awesome if it's a double-figure win, but I think it's very possible that that's the outcome.
Circus Sports, the best time of the year. I mean, there is literally no better time of year than today, right now. Is here in the best app to bet college basketball at Circus Sports Kentucky. It's sports betting the way it should be with high and transparent betting limits, the lowest holds, and exceptional customer service. It doesn't matter when they take the court, whether it's spreads, props, futures, or in-game. Circus Sports is the place to bet college basketball. Fun and bet like a pro from anywhere, anytime. Download your new bookie today at circusports.com. Must be 18 or older for Kentucky Problem Gambling Services. Call or text 1-800-426-2537. Sean, when the news last night that Lamont Butler is declared out, the verbiage from Hope hasn't been totally, beautiful. Has it kind of been touchy-feely about what is it? I'm kind of withholding some information. He said that, and I was kind of like, okay, so there's clearly something that you don't want out there. Does that change your mind at all? Again, tonight, want to know your thoughts on that. But really, just kind of the trajectory of this team. You create magic once in Knoxville without a starting point guard. But is it sustainable if this does become a couple week type of thing?
I mean, if this thing extends 2-3 weeks into this thing, then I think you get pretty concerned. But you do have confidence that you can do it, without him. You saw that in a tough environment. You saw that environment today, went out against a Florida team that only had 2 losses entering the day. So I think tonight you're good. I think moving beyond tonight, you would like to see some better news coming out here in a week or so. But if this is something Kentucky has to go into late February, March, then I'm concerned just because of the games that they're still going to have to face in this league and then in postseason play. But tonight, you've seen them be able to go to Knoxville and do it. I think they'll be okay tonight.
Some people talking about the mics not being loud enough. If you can't hear us, let us know in the chat. And don't joke. Be real. We do want to know. Does it change at all for you, Zach, with the starting point guard news, how they operate without Lamont Butler again tonight?
No, because he's out. So I think it kind of just cancels itself out in a sense in that way. And I kind of like just the Jackson at point guard minutes. I think my one fear is maybe DJ is a little bit too quick for Jackson if he's going to hand it out of the guard system. Maybe DJ can give himself some easy opportunities getting to the rim. But I love the height advantage that Jackson has against opposing point guards. So I think in that sense, I don't have too much of an issue with Lamont being out. This is just a game where you can have Andrew Carr once again only play 8-9 seconds and it really shouldn't matter at all. It would be nice to have Butler, obviously, because I don't think DJ would even get off. He'd probably shoot 1 for 6 or 1 for 7 or something like that if Lamont was guarding him. I think it'd be interesting to see how that plays out for the rest of the rotation in terms of how they defend. Who guards Adu? Do you put Oteg on him? Do you maybe put Almanor on him if Andrew Carr can't play? Do you put Jackson on him instead to kind of shuffle things around? Brandon probably has a better answer for that one.
Sam, can you double check the mics, make sure the sound's all right? Because a lot of people saying that they can't hear me or anything. Are we good?
Doing good. I want to slide over to my friend on the right over here, Dylan Ballard. I want to give him a moment just to give his quick thoughts on the game. Do you have any overwhelming takes for this one?
Jack, I was watching as you were talking to Matt, and actually had a different opinion of watching the Cal video with Jimmy Dykes this morning.
Yeah.
Last night, I was like, and some of you guys know I didn't have the best experience covering Cal. I won't go into that's not the time and place to do this, but I didn't have the best experience covering Cal. It's been awesome covering the team, but covering Cal wasn't the best for me. But I also grew up with those memories, and when he started talking about those memories, when Daniel posted that video last night, things started changing for me. And I was like, shoot, maybe 2 bad years of him being grumpy at pressers, him not showing up in the middle of the week. I'm going to probably forget all that when it comes time for him to walk through that curtain and to him to come out, and I'll probably remember some of those, but I don't think anybody knows how they're going to act until the moment. I do think the year before at Knoxville, last year in Auburn. Cal gets up for big games on the road in the regular season. I personally, my wife asked me, first thing she asked me, I roll over this morning, she goes, "Are you excited?" I said, "There is not an ounce of fluid in my body that's excited. Not 1 ounce that's excited." I said, "There is all anxiousness because I want to win this game so bad." But I don't know. I don't have any overwhelming takes. I think if you lose, it's because of emotions, of him getting their team up or us being emotional. I just don't think they're good enough to beat you if you play your game at all. And it'll be different seeing him tonight. But I'm kind of excited to see for that part to be over and let's get to the game.
I asked Zach, do you think Cal cries?
Do I? Yes. I do. I think he does. And if he does, I think he may turn his head down, do something like act like he's going to grab.
Which means you as a photographer, Steven as a videographer, you better be up, get the pores. I need to see every...
Shout out to the people at University of Kentucky.
Okay.
Because they let me know last week. They said there are so many national people coming. We're probably going to be our photographers, the newspapers, KSR, and that's it. The rest of you guys are probably going to go to overflow because of how many national people. Well, they decided to put me on the floor tonight, and I am at direct cross angle from John Calipari. I am sitting about 10 feet from John Calipari. So I told Mon on the way over here, I said, my goal is to get that emotional picture of him, and the rest of it, who cares? But I want to get that. And I think if he does, I think it'd be cool because I think he does love this place. And as much as we've compared it to Rick, it is different. Mm-hmm. It is different. And the character issues are not there with Cal. You know what I'm saying? The way he left, it's all been different. And if he does cry, though, I'm going to try to get a snapshot of that because that is our job.
Does he get ejected, and does he show up for the post-game press conference?
If they win, I might not show up for the post-game press conference.
It'll be his longest of the year. It'll be his longest since he's been at Kentucky. So I need more questions. Like what?
I do think he shows up for it because he has handled these pressers and everything so graciously so far. And I think if this would have been like last year after a big loss, yeah, he doesn't come or he keeps it short. But I think with them being bad, it does kind of make this all different, right? I mean, they're not good at all. It's house money for him, and I think if they lose, hey, we were supposed to lose. He won't say that, of course, but I think you would maybe hear the loudest crowd pop in Rupp history if he did get ejected.
How many of the questions will actually be about the game if he takes the post-game press conference?
It just depends on how it goes. I don't think, honestly, it even depends on how the game goes because if it's close and competitive, it'll all be about so was it the emotions? Did you come in with an edge? Did you play with a chip? Did your guys play with a chip on their shoulder? I don't think any of the questions will be, what was it about John L. Davis getting downhill, getting paint touches, and scoring well around the rim for the first time? I don't think it'll be any of that stuff. I think it'll be, what are the emotions? How were you able to overcome what people didn't think that you were able to do? I don't think it'll be anything about that.
I do think win or lose, he does the post-game press conference. I actually would be shocked.
I think he will because he did the pregame one.
Yep.
He went out of his way to understand the moment and say, Missouri is steamrolling a ranked Mississippi State team right now. Steamrolling them. Does that game scare you at all, Brandon? Or either one to close out the season?
It does because it's going to mean a lot. I was hoping that Missouri would get beat today because they have 2 losses. Kentucky could have gone to bed tonight, tied for 3rd in the league if some things broke right. Well, that's not going to happen now. But yeah, the thing that scares me about Missouri, I think they are good. They're clearly, Coach Dennis Gates deserves a ton of credit. They were 0-18. They were 0-18 in the SEC last year, and they are clearly one of the best teams. They're an NCAA tournament team. They're a top half SEC team. So yeah, it scares me from the standing standpoint that that's a team that you're going to be fighting with for a double bye at this point. Like it's not necessarily early in the SEC anymore. Like these are games 8 and 9 for people this weekend. You're getting darn near halfway through. So the teams that you're around in the standings are the teams that you're probably going to be around 2, 3, 4 weeks from now. So yeah, I think we all, because the SEC is so tough, that double bye or even getting a single bye, not playing on Wednesday, all that stuff matters a ton. And in a game like Kentucky, Missouri at this point is looking like it's going to matter for some of those standings.
Steven asked, do you guys want us to go for another 20 minutes? And somebody responded, go another hour. We ain't got nothing to do.
I mean, I think that's what happens when the game's not till 9 o'clock. Like, I think
why we're doing this. We're like,
everybody just wants a distraction.
We're an hour and 40 in. We're doing pretty well. So
we got time.
Did we ever answer the jersey question?
I touched on it before we got cut off, but I will say I appreciate people that kind of stuck around for a second. The battery died on the mic and the camera. So
it did?
Yeah. So we have been going so long that we already went through a whole battery, like start to finish charge life. So appreciate the patience.
This is how much we've crossed. This is the mic that you started the show with.
I wonder if that.
And like we changed, and we've had so many people
just rotating around. I like it.
Yes, there were some questions about the denim jerseys. Not tonight. Sorry, guys. I wanted them. I begged. I truly begged. Like, hey, can we please? Not going to be the case. So they are coming, but not anytime soon, at least that we're hoping for today. Does that change the vibes at all, or what? I mean,
not for me. I don't know if anything's changing the vibes tonight.
But,
honestly,
like
the vibes.
I know some fans wanted it pretty bad.
You could play this game in actual blue jeans and a blue jean jacket tonight. And I don't think
what's that famous Derek Anderson quote?
Would change at all.
What is it?
We're so good we won in jeans.
Yeah, you could play this game in anything tonight, and it wouldn't matter to me with the vibes. Like this is going to be one of the wildest atmospheres I think we've ever seen in this building.
Yes,
one of the most emotional nights we've ever seen in that building, and it's one of those things that even though you have maybe some emotions and some anxiety about it, it should be a fun night.
Zach, I'll go to you with this. We haven't talked at all like who is going to stand out for Kentucky? Like what's going to be good about Kentucky to help us get a double-digit win if we're going to clear that 10-point spread. Jackson Robinson is obviously a big talking point. Yes. We get the return. There was that weird we got our first. Who's in the house tonight?
You okay? We got some nice swag over here. This guy's got like a blue chain on. You can't. The crowd's not getting into it. They got to get into it. Come on, man. Jack, maybe you should try start a Go Big Blue chain.
How do we want to do this? Go Big Blue CATS or blue white? Blue white.
No, don't do the blue white. That'll make Steven mad.
Why?
They won't do it right here. We never do it right.
We'll hold that thought. We'll close out. We'll close out with the good CATS. The fan base is ready for it. I'm going to need them on the other side of the gym. But
we need some more energy.
What was working? What is going to work for Kentucky tonight to clear that double-digit spread?
Please shoot the ball. Please shoot 33s.
Oh, hold on. Tubby was seen by multiple people at Bluegrass Airport today.
Will he be the Y?
Matt Jones.
Is he the Y then?
That would be fun as hell.
That would be
cool. Would be fun as hell to get Tubby in here to close that gap. I would love that. The generational gap would be tremendous.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
That'd be super cool for sure.
But I cut you off like 4 times.
No, you're good. Kentucky's keys. I mean, I think a lot of Kentucky keys are the keys are just play the way you've been playing, because if you do what you did against Tennessee, you're going to win this game. Arkansas is just – I don't even think a lot of this is about Kentucky. It's just how bad Arkansas is. Like, yeah, Steven's finding out the news as we hear as well. You should have seen his face. That was kind of funny.
Tubby buying a horse farm?
Maybe he's just here to hang out. He could be here for other reasons. So a lot of threes. I really want to see 30-plus tonight, maybe even get to 35, something like that. If you make 12 of them, you're probably going to win. Even double digits, you're probably going to win. Three-point defense is going to be huge in this game. I think Kentucky is going to let Arkansas shoot 33s, and they'll probably make like 6 of them. That's just kind of how bad they are. They're shooting 25% from 3 in conference play. Arkansas is from deep. So
it couldn't be as bad as 11 for 45. Like it'd be impossible for somebody to shoot that poorly from 3.
6 of 30 is pretty close to it, if not just.
I was making a Tennessee joke because that's exactly what they shot.
So yes, 3-point shooting and then 3-point defense, I think, are some main things here. That's our
favorite
guy from
man.
Rapid Reactions. I'm never going to get my takes in here. Jack's just going to point at. He's going to point at the next random person that comes in here and take away my spotlight. But I don't really have anything else to say other than I want to see a lot of shots go up. I really do I like the Jackson at point guard situation. I think we'll see some zone defense from UK today. Georgia did it against Arkansas, just in like maybe 4 or 5 possessions in their loss, but I don't think Arkansas scored in any of them. It really messed them up a little bit. So I do think we'll see some zone sprinkled in maybe early on. The thing that really changed in that Arkansas game when they beat Georgia was they started doing some pressing in the last like 8 minutes. I wonder if Arkansas will try and throw out more press because your ball handlers are kind of all your backup guys, like especially if Travis Perry is in there, like might try and really trap him and make him make some errors and force some turnovers that way. But I think it's just going to be a fun, exciting game overall. Like I think the only advantage Arkansas has is with Adu and wherever he is, whoever ends up matching with. I'm actually interested to see how Brandon thinks that Kentucky will defend Adu, because I think that's kind of the only thing. Like we've talked about Nelly Davis, and if he has a good game, like that's an if and or but thing. We know that Adu's probably going to come out and have Adu's going to play a good game today. I think we can all kind of agree with that he's going to come out and play. So how does Kentucky kind of slow him down will be one of the bigger factors I'm looking at. And I am interested to see what Brandon says.
I think the timing actually works out well, I think, with playing Tennessee and then Arkansas, because from a game planning standpoint, I mean, Sean, you know this as a coach, like your guys aren't always the smartest. You feel that even more as a high school coach probably, but
wow, call him out.
Even at the Division I college level, it's not always super easy for the guys to execute a game plan night in and night out. Well, the game plan's pretty darn similar tonight as it was on Tuesday. You executed it very well. You got to have some positive film of showing these guys, hey, like this is what it looks like when you guard well. Now you can roll that over and hopefully see that tonight. And specifically with Adu, he's 7 of 31 from 3 this year. I'm not a math major, but I have it written down. That's 22%. Nice. That's not very good for those keeping track at home. So you have to back up. You have to go under when he's getting a handoff and he's going to try to turn the corner and go 1,000,000 miles an hour. He's going to put his head down. You're going to have a chance to take a charge at some point in this game, probably on Adu. You're going to have a chance to come help off of a non-shooter and take it off of him because he's not really looking to pass when he gets downhill. As long as you stay between him and the basket and get your hands up and don't foul, it's going to be really hard for him to score. Now, he's super athletic. He's super physical.
He likes a mid-range shot.
He's gotten a lot better. He's going to get some of his because he's going to be so aggressive. But as long as you make it hard for him, as long as you're not letting him get offensive rebound putbacks, you're not letting him get strong hand straight line drives to the rim, he's not going to score enough in order to carry them to something that matters on the scoreboard. I think that from a game planning standpoint, this is a really good timing for Kentucky to essentially just run it back, stay between them and the basket, back up, see if they shoot a bunch, and then go rebound the ball. That's one thing I want to touch on real quick. Kentucky has faced some of the best offensive rebounding teams in the country, especially here in SEC play. Not only is Arkansas not nearly as good offensively as some of these other teams that we've played, they're also 250-something in offensive rebounding percentage on KenPom. So you should, now you have to let that weakness still be a weakness. That's going to be important. You can't let up because it's a weakness for them, but you're going to have to really dominate the glass in this one, and if you do that, they're not going to score enough to win.
Sean, I want to ask, can you hear me? Good.
All good.
I don't know what's going on. We're just, I mean, we've been recording.
The technology's not used to going for 2 hours.
I don't think technology is designed to go 2 hours straight without, stopping. But whatever. Hey, if you can hear us, I'll talk into his mic. The point guard position with Jackson playing as well as he did in Knoxville, Amari getting some extended run and playing as well as he did. How do you think that dynamic is going to play? Do you see them playing as well? Is it sustainable for them to play at the point guard position as well as they did down in Knoxville?
Well, I mean, the one thing that the way Kentucky plays offense, a lot of the pressure is taken off the point guard because they play through the 5. So once you do break pressure, you get into half-court offense, you're playing through your 5-man. So you see Amari be comfortable with the ball in his hands. I think that helps alleviate some pressure of not having a starting point guard available. But like I said, when you can go into Knoxville and do it there and in that environment and build some confidence, confidence and you're coming back home to do it, I think that bodes well for you. So I think it's always going to be a by committee approach, and I think that's the approach this team takes and has taken all year in all areas. Defensively, shooting the ball from three, you're seeing good balance there with, 3 guys made at least 3+ threes on the game at Tennessee. They're capable of doing that every single game. It's a by committee assist. It's rebounding. All this is kind of a collective thing that Kentucky does. So I think that helps them kind of avoid not having a starting point guard.
This will be a big cutting game. Yeah. Arkansas is not very good at defense right now, even though that's their thing.
Zach, do we have any updated on-the-scene looks has Katie Hutchinson sent anything over?
She hasn't sent me anything. She said that most of the interviews talking to students were bad, which talking to students usually doesn't go too well. So I don't have too much of a live update on the scene, but like we said earlier, fans have been out there for a while, so I think they let them in. They don't let students in until like an hour before the game, maybe an hour and a half.
They wouldn't. I feel like for this one they need to
might let them in a little bit earlier,
up it a little bit.
Yeah. Where do you put your tents once you go in?
I feel like
or like your Xboxes, because like people will bring those inside Rupp and wait. Where do you put those afterwards? Does someone have to come get them?
Like, don't you kind of like designate somebody to run them back home?
Yeah, someone probably has to come pick it up for
I
you.
think that's usually what you do. Like, somebody runs the stuff home, and then you get back in line.
Did you all ever do campouts and stuff? I actually never did a Big Blue Madness camp out, and then I think my senior year at UK is when they ended it.
I didn't even go here, so I don't.
I'm not even a UK fan. I don't know. No, because there weren't any. Like when I was here, it was just not a thing. I feel like I missed the.
I always forget you're younger than me.
From 15 to 19, for whatever reason, they just went away from the most passionate, best version of. In that entire era, I didn't get any, burning down couches on State Street. I didn't get any of
did
stuff.
that. I did that, the Notre Dame win in the Elite Eight, Carl Towns
I missed
team.
that
was my sophomore year. That was my sophomore year, so you would have been like 14.
I was a freshman, but I was... No.
Yeah, no, I remember because we went on State Street and burned couches, and that's a night I remember very well, actually. And that was for an Elite Eight win. The Final Four loss was a little bit different vibes for that one, not to bring it up.
Sean, where will this environment stack up among the best Rupp Arena environments ever?
Number one.
Do you think?
I think it ends up being number one. I just don't know if you're going to have this level of juice that we've seen it in the building. Like this is just different energy, right? Like look at this environment here today.
It's been packed in here since we walked in.
It was packed from the minute we walked into the building. And when we walked in the door, it's been packed since 11:30.
Like we've talked about it off and on. We all wanted change. We didn't see this change being the change, but we wanted it. And we're here, and Kentucky has a good team. Mark Pope, the energy that's around this program. I do think it was Matt earlier that said it, where nothing really bad has happened yet, but if they were to lose to Cal and Arkansas, that would be the first go, ugh, where you actually kind of look at it like, yeah, that's not what you needed. And when we ranked our games that they needed to win early in the season, I had this one at the top of the list for that very reason. John Calipari is the only reason why this is at the number that it's at.
Yeah.
But, Brandon, I want to get your thoughts on this because we talked about it on one of the 75 shows we've done this week. Does it change anything for you for them to win at Tennessee? If you were to go into the week, going into the Tennessee game, and you would say you can only get one, Tennessee or Arkansas, I would say on paper, most people would say the Tennessee win for resume was the game that mattered for what fans actually care about. Like, I know for nostalgia and, the bitterness and all that stuff, they want this one, but I feel like if you were to only get one of them, it was going to be Tennessee for what it meant in the grand scheme of things. Getting a top 10 road win is gold in the committee's eyes. But now that you have that in your back pocket, does that change it all where you are playing with house money with this, or do you say, well, no, I just want both? Like, you got to have both.
I don't think it's house money because it is a quad 2 game. Like, it is a loss that hurts you. Now, I agree with you. Taking away the emotion of the event, if you told me, hey, Kentucky's going to go 1-1 this week, pick which one, I would pick Tennessee. I'm pretty confident Coach Pope would pick Tennessee. I think in a truthful moment, a lot of fans at least should pick Tennessee. Maybe they wouldn't. But so I don't think that it's house money necessarily, because like I said, it is a harmful loss. But I do think, it goes back to something I've talked about all season. After some of these losses, like people get mad because you lose at Georgia. People get mad because you lose at Vandy. And I've questioned, and it doesn't have to be one or the other, but would you rather have lost to Duke and Gonzaga but beaten Georgia and Vandy? We might feel because then you're winning the games you're supposed to win.
Right.
But I think it matters more to have those big time. Kentucky is one of the best resumes in the country because of who they've beaten, not because of the losses. The losses are what they are, and they're all still quad one losses, so they're really not that bad, regardless of what the name across the front of the jersey says. Right. But you build your resume now with these quad one wins, with these quad 1A wins, which Kentucky continues to have as many as anybody in the country with. You got another one on Tuesday, and I think that, you have to go take care of business tonight, but it can be just about taking care of business. You don't need style points tonight. You need to be 5-3 in the SEC when you go to bed.
On that note, why is this team in the biggest moments unbelievable? And in the, and I would probably put this on the same level because of what the game means, but in terms of the competition, for whatever reason, the Clemsons and Ohio States and the Georgias and the Vandys, what has been the disconnect there?
I would love to answer your question, Jack, but we have a group.
I just want to know what that is.
Onesies coming in here.
Everyone is wearing that's an Elmo onesie. They're dressed as bears, I think. A unicorn. Steven got right up out of his chair too.
I don't know.
I don't know what the hell is happening right now. That woman's a penguin in the back. Yeah, now they're all staring at us. Are they
we're the weird ones?
Yeah,
why are you guys looking at us?
Do they want to come on the show, or I don't remember?
What's the occasion?
Happy birthday! Okay, bar crawl, I bet you. Some sort of bar crawl.
We like it.
Good for you guys. Jack, what in the world did you ask me?
Why have they struggled? Go Cats, baby! Why have they struggled in the non-top 10, top 15
That's right.
matchups? Of course. Is that a freaking unicorn? Its horn is so shiny. Yes, it is a unicorn.
I like the unicorn.
That's a heck of an outfit. But no, I think it's a heck of a transition from unicorns to some X's and O's talk.
Speaking of Big Z.
I think it's because Kentucky's margin for error just isn't that great. They've had their struggles defensively. They've had their struggles with some rebounding. They're very, very good offensively, but it's definitely been the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. And sometimes when you don't have a star to take over a game, when things aren't going well, it can become hard. So I think that's why you start to
what is this
struggle. Now we're really getting crazy here.
It's Dawson. You know it's Fireball.
Yeah, right. I'm I'm good. But cheers. No, as they take their shot, I think we're really going off the rails here an hour or two. But no, to answer the question once and for all, I think it's because there's just not a ton of margin for error for this team. You've seen them survive that razor thin margin quite a bit this year, but sometimes you get punched in the mouth a little bit. It's been hard for this team. But I do continue to just believe that when the whole is greater than the sum of the parts, to me, that's the mantra of this team, you can really start to figure out, especially with the veteran group. I don't worry as much about those losses as I am encouraged by those big wins.
Does it change?
That was a roundabout answer. It didn't make any sense.
It was weird.
There were unicorns. There were shots. Who knows what's going on?
Does it change anything for you tonight with this matchup, knowing what you just described about just kind of the...
I'm prepared for it to be a dogfight. I think that's. I was talking to Maria earlier. It's not going to shock me.
Shout out Maria. Love Maria.
Shout out Maria. It wouldn't shock me if at the under 8 timeout, Kentucky's down 3 points, and Steven's texting us about why we can't start games. Why we don't start games well anymore.
Yes, put in his text message like, you talking about me?
I can see the text messages right now. We're going to lose, aren't we? Yeah. Oh, God. This is happening.
We should have never
We're not even making the tournament at this point.
Mark Pope is a bum. I can't believe that we're witnessing this right now.
Winner gets the coach next year. But, so that part's not going to shock me because I do think Arkansas can kind of muck the game up in some ways that could make it more physical.
That's what Anthony was saying, too.
They could get to the basket. We might foul them too much, different things like that. But ultimately, I think the talent gap in this one, like I said earlier, Arkansas has a bottom quartile SEC roster. Kentucky doesn't. I think Kentucky will be able to figure it out, it might not be as smooth as what we all want it to be.
We've done 2 full hours of podcasting.
This is amazing, isn't
it? You two have specifically. I'm impressed.
If you ask Arkansas people, they say the pressure's on Kentucky. So for them, this one's just for funsies, right?
For Arkansas?
Yeah.
So how seriously are they taking it then?
I mean, I think they're taking it seriously.
I do too.
I still feel like the pressure's on Arkansas tonight and not Kentucky.
Yeah.
I don't know how it can't be.
I think there's heavy pressure on both sides because I think you have to. The Arkansas kids, especially the Kentucky kids, they know the situation. They understand it all. I don't think like Billy Richmond and Carter Knox, I don't think they have any emotional connection to this game.
Who was able to do a better job from Wednesday morning till tonight to keep their guys loose?
Yeah.
Considering we know the scuttlebutt about who was out last night in Lexington and where they were and how they were preparing last night, I can say with 1,000% confidence it's Kentucky.
Yeah, they were quick to get to Jeff Ruby's, weren't they?
You said it, not
me. I didn't say who. I just said they. You can assume who the they are.
You couldn't even have a team meeting for it. You couldn't even drop your bags off at the hotel first. Did you bring your rolly bag into the bar? Get a grip. Thank God.
He digresses.
Thank God we don't have to deal with this anymore. Continue.
I'm done. I'm good. No more takes. Do I have a take?
What's your score again?
Oh yeah, do we want to do score predictions and MVPs? How do you want to do?
I'm not ready for that yet. I mean, I'm still cool rolling for a little bit.
I mean, I don't care. I don't want to give my score prediction yet. I want to wait until we'll do that at the very end. Score predictions,
I
MVP.
do want one Stephen Peak to come over here. Stephen, hop on the mic. Either of them. Either of them.
Yeah, come over here.
It's time. Beautiful view. Beautiful view. Yep.
I thought he was going to walk across the table.
That's a good shot.
All right, Steven.
Now I don't know if the audio is working. We're just trusting it.
Yeah. Do we look good? All right.
I don't know if
Steven.
that thumbs up.
1, 2, 3, 4. All right.
So, Steven, you are our resident psychopath. We love you because you bring out the best and the worst of BBN, and you accept that. Like you know that your highs are better than anybody else in this room's highs, and your lows, unfortunately, can get pretty
low.
Yeah. And I get to hear the unfiltered thoughts on the drives home. So thank God the drive home from Knoxville was much more high.
That's a big part of why it's important that they win for Jack to not have to hear it on the way home.
I sit there wondering if I should be opening up the door and jumping out on 75 North where things are going bad. This game means something to you.
Oh, yeah.
It has meant something to you from the minute it was announced. How are you feeling today? The nerves, have they hit you?
Oh,
and what will it be like when you see John Calipari walk into that building? There are some fans wondering where the hell your UK gear is.
I'm not wearing it.
This is our chance. I didn't
realize. I have my blue hoodie, but it's got a little hot. So I'm being a company guy today, wearing the On 3 stuff.
Shout out On 3.
Yeah. No, you were asking me about who was it again? John Calipari.
Calamari cake, something like that?
This is the one game I have known the date and time for the entire year.
You have said
there is
often.
no other game that I have what time do we play Ole Miss? I only know we play them
What
on
day do we play Ole Miss?
February 4th. I know because I had to cancel plans. Because I didn't know they were playing February 4th. Do you see what I'm saying? This was the only game that I was like, February 1st, 9 p.m. It's been on everybody's calendar, but it's a big, this is a game I have thought about while watching Arkansas play all year. It's kind of it has that same feel of how I used to watch Louisville and get stressed out about that Louisville game starting as soon as the schedule comes out, or as soon as you beat them one year. I'm worried about that Louisville game the next year. This is kind of how it's felt. The Calipari thing is can I just tell the story about what happened at his house?
Yes, this is the perfect opportunity.
Okay, yeah. I've been wondering if I should ever just talk about it. So I was at his house for Selection Sunday, and this changed my entire the way I viewed this guy. It wasn't as a fan, I was getting frustrated of the last few years and everything, but I just it was so much of
him bringing joy to me and my family, my friends. Like, John Calipari is probably the reason that, like, I have this job. Like, him winning and bringing in these guys, like, kind of brought in this new group of fans throughout the world. And I think going over to England and, like, seeing, like, how people knew John Calipari. We were in New York City. There's a big poster of John Calipari and a quote from him on there. Like, he's a big brand. Put Kentucky together with that big brand, and it's just massive. So he's done a lot to, like, build up a lot of media around here too, right? So I was very grateful. So I'm at his house for Selection Sunday. The vibes aren't great. They just lost to Texas A&M, and they draw a team I'd heard of, but didn't know anything about. And so there was some talk, like, what if things don't go well? And then Cal said in front of the media, and everybody was like, well, what's the worst they can do? Fire me? I've been through that, which was okay, that's a good answer. But why are we talking about you getting fired? You're only getting fired if you lose to, like, Oakland, right? I mean, maybe NC
God
State.
forbid. That would never happen.
It shouldn't happen. We shouldn't even be having this discussion. And I had to go back in his house to, like, get something, and he said, I heard him talking with some people. It's like, again, like, there's media people in your house. Just watch for just 5 more seconds what you say. And he said, if they fire me, he's kind of laughing. He was joking. But he said, like, I'll buy an island if they fire me, talking about the buyout. And I'll be honest with you, I texted you guys right away because I was like, dude, what are we even doing? Like, why are we talking about being fired? And why is it so casual that it's like, well, I'll just buy we lose to Oakland, F it, I'll buy an island. And I just thought, like, dude, come on, man. Like, this means something to people. Like, I know you're joking, and I know you're joking amongst, and maybe you're not thinking that people, and honestly, I didn't even want to, I said it on our rapid reaction to everything, and I didn't really want to because I really like and respect John Calipari. That was like a moment and so when I say it, I'm just hoping he doesn't hear it. And I even let's keep it between us. And hey, credit KSR YouTube because nobody put it out on Twitter. It was just kind of somebody,
our well-kept secret.
Yeah, and then I heard that it got back to Cal, and it was like, I think Kyle Tucker came over and like, dude, he is pissed at you. Like, he that MFer, like and Nick Roush helped me out. He said, you know what, if you don't piss off a coach doing this job at least once, you're not really doing your job. So it made everything very awkward for me as I was watching that game, knowing that like, if he loses, I don't have to deal with this next year. But I so didn't want that to happen. And it would have made things maybe a little weird. But at the end of the day, I don't think John Calipari was going to sleep thinking about what I said. But it was kind of
surprised.
Maybe he doesn't. But I thought he didn't pay attention to the clutter.
He's going to see you tonight and be like, that guy.
Yes. Yeah. I know. And, and I didn't. And it's like because it's so weird because like I was 19 years old when he took over at Kentucky.
He's going to walk out the tunnel and just beeline like Get Out, that movie Get Out, where he's running straight at the guy. It's going to be him running straight at Stephen Peak.
Yeah, this will be the first time he would have seen any of us since the Oakland game, and
he hasn't seen us.
I'm sure he's watched. I'm sure he's watched you.
I haven't seen.
I mean, okay, yeah, that's been so long. I got to keep up.
I'm the one that just took a shot. You guys should be much more sharp than me.
Yeah, I think I even told you it was like knowing that I like let Calipari down was like this weird, like not used to. I'm used to just going on Twitter and tweeting into the void. That's what I was doing in 2009 to 2000 before I got this job. It was just a bunch of takes that nobody cared about, and so I wasn't used to like, I gotta kind of maybe watch a little bit of what I'm saying because certain people might be listening. But like that was, I know you guys don't do that, but as being a fan, being more of a fan than I think, like getting to hide behind the camera allows me to do that more than what I think some people are allowed to do. And I was just like, what did I tell you? Like, and then I feel like I let down like a family member. I feel like I let down my dad or something. It was just like a weird, like Calipari's face is in my parents' basement. The first thing you see when you go into my parents' basement is Calipari's face, and it says "Return of the King" on it. Like he's a big deal. He's a big deal in the state.
What's weird about that day, and while we're just like sharing Cal stories, that's how we're going to kind of like get to the tail end of this. We're going to reminisce a little bit, just get some stuff off our chest. So I remember after leading up to the SEC tournament, how the verbiage and just the things that he was saying were like, this event, we're not going to put a target on this event. We know the event that matters, and just kind of minimizing with the built for March just approach with the season, how everything was riding on March, and how we got to the SEC tournament, and it was like, well, that is March. March 15th was the game that we lost to Texas A&M, but the way he just kind of pushed all of his chips in on that postseason run. I remember after the loss to Texas A&M, I wrote a column on KSR, and I basically said, your approach has been unintentionally dangerous, because while I understand why you would want your guys to be playing loose up to that point and not be worrying about the life and death of every single individual loss, you have by direct nature put everything on what was to follow. And that's where my biggest frustration came from. It was like, you think that you're getting your guys loose and playing free and not worrying about the outside noise and the clutter. But by doing that, you are now saying everything that we've done up to this point doesn't matter. The only thing that matters this point forward is making a run in March. And it was so frustrating, and just saying like, hey, all right, if this is your approach, I just want you to know that the pressure that you think that you've been taking away from your guys is now multiplied tenfold. And I wrote a column about it after the SEC tournament loss, and I said, okay, I hope that you're ready for the pressure that comes with what is to come when we get to the NCAA tournament. And at the selection show that Steven was just talking about, where he said, I'll buy an island if I get fired, who gives a damn? His response to the media at the time was, you guys are, saying if they don't do this, if they don't do that, you guys aren't real fans. You guys are the ones putting the targets on, if they don't do this. And I'm like, oh, yeah. So it's a guy who was an outspoken ally of John Calipari when everybody else last season, after the UNC Wilmington loss, after the steps along the way, said, I don't think that this is a partnership that can sustain anymore. We gotta part ways at the end of this year, or fire him now, or whatever. I was the one that was taking the short-term beating by saying, guys, this is stupid. Why are we talking about something that's not going to happen? Just trust the process. Cal pushed his chips in on the freshmen that are going to peak at the right time. Let's just hear him out. This is the path he chose. He didn't go with the portal guys, the older, experienced guys. Let's just ride the wave with how he wanted to construct this roster and what he wanted the vision of this team to be. So I do that. I am the one that's taking the bullets in meantime, taking the bazooka holes as the game's unfolding. And then the first time that I say, all right, guys, just so you know that this is now the pressure on the team, I get a direct shot sent at me. And it was like, dang, the one guy that was fighting for you and saying, hey, let's not overreact to a stupid UNC Wilmington loss, that was the first time that I was like, maybe he's way too online. He's criminally online, soaking in every bit of the clutter. And maybe I should just let this thing ride the way, fate is going to let it ride out. That was the first kind of real disappointing, like, hey, I thought we were on the same team here. I thought we were allies. I'm doing my job as like, hey, just painting the picture of the game, of what's being laid out in front of me.
How much pressure was on you guys to cover the team last year in the last 2 years, as they would lose games and knew that was coming?
I'll let you answer that.
We started the show right when the decline started to happen, right, with the program. Like me and you would record upstairs till 2:00 in the morning some nights. We're during the 9 and 16 years. So I don't know if anyone wanted them to be more successful than you and I did. Like
with a platform that there isn't. I mean, we got the negative backlash that came with being the Sunshine Pumpers and you guys are just painting lipstick on a pig. Like, we were the ones that were kind of taking some of the public grunt of it, And it did just kind of the very tail end of it was just kind of like, damn,
we went
like
the distance
I was
with
the
it, too.
ally.
We went the distance, though. Like, we kept saying last year, hold off until the NCAA tournament. Let's see what the result is. When the result hadn't changed and it actually had gotten worse, then we start talking about it, that it was time for change. But we held out as long as we could. But you're right. Like, we went a long time before we were able to celebrate a NCAA tournament victory together and actually have a post-game episode.
I still don't know what a Sweet 16 looks like.
No. I mean, I've covered one. Well, covered two, actually. Covered the K-State game, then I covered the Houston game. But that hotel that night when they lost to St. Peter's, night I'll never forget. But you get the next year.
That damn shoot around. I'll never live that afternoon and evening down ever for the rest of my life.
Is this a name your score game tonight?
Hell no. It is not a name your score game. No.
I don't know. I think Kentucky's winning this one by double figures. I think by 15. I said 91-76 the other day. But there's a lot of emotion with this. 15 years of emotion, good, in between, bad. I will be glad when tonight's over, though.
I will too. Brandon, I want to get your thoughts on it as well, because you were an outspoken advocate kind of in the face of adversity and in the eye of the storm, if you will, as the Cal Sunshine Pumper. Did it ever get to the point with you where it was just like, I'm going to die on this hill and here I am dead? Like, when did it ever hit you where it was just like, well, here we go?
I mean, there was a little bit of that where it's like, okay, like I'm pot committed at this point. I'm kind of painted into the corner of the Cal guy, and some of that, like, and you guys know some of this because I talked to you outside of the media some, but like I always felt like I got painted into that picture a little bit because I'm like, I'm also the one who my only job at KSR is to break down film of everything you do wrong. So like, how much of a sunshine pumper am I really?
Yeah.
And it's always been,
floppy action was a lot of criticism last year. That's all it was.
I was throwing stuff during floppy action episodes last year.
Yeah.
But I think for me it's always been different because like I'm very online. I'm a part of this, but like I'm not a part of it the way you guys are. Like I'm not credentialed. I don't go to the media rooms. Like I've never done any of that stuff. So like,
I gotta cut you off. There's a Duke fan in here.
A Duke fan.
There's more Duke fans in here than there were at Cameron Indoor early today.
Yeah.
College game. Where were you at game day? They needed you at game day.
Yeah, you would have doubled their size.
But no, it's always been unique for me because like I'm like quasi media, but not really. So like I've never felt like I had to like be careful of what I said because like I'm never going to see John Calipari. I'm never going to have to ask him a question.
Almami would agree.
If I lose access, like nobody cares. Like I have no access to begin with. But so like that always allowed me to kind of speak what I wanted. But also I never felt the need to be like. I'm one where, like, I'm going to support the team. I think as a fan, that's my job. I don't have to worry about the media side because the media side doesn't pay my bills like it pays your guys' bills. So, like, I don't have to call it as it is. I can just say, I'm a Kentucky fan. John Calipari is my coach. I'm going to support him. That was always the way I was looking at it. It wasn't because I thought, like, you know what, John Calipari is still the best coach in college basketball. It was my job as a fan is to show up to the games, cheer, and hope we win the game. And that's what I was doing. And along the way, online, I have to get after him sometimes. And there's, people on the staff that I think I worked harder than last year at times.
I can say with 100%. Even still right now, you are covering Arkansas better than some of those people are covering their own team.
And that part would, it would genuinely feel like I coached college basketball. Knowing that I was doing this and they weren't doing anything, it made me mad at times at the end. Because, I would give anything to be in their shoes and they're wasting it away. But yeah, there was always a little bit of kind of dying on the hill, but man, am I happy that things are going the way they are now.
Zoom Action's a lot of fun.
And go follow Zoom Action. Zach and I.
Plug it.
Incredible show. Has it been enjoyable to watch the creativity and like the just?
You should see some of the texts that we get from Brandon when he's like on his coaching mode.
Ooh,
no, it's
that,
more than that. Yes.
It's that boxing the official where he's like watching and I'm like ooh. Is that you watching Coach?
It's night and day in terms of like if you're a basketball nerd, Benny, like watching this team compared to the past few years, like it's just totally different. Like being able to break down this team on film compared to what you have been doing, it's so much more fun. And quite frankly, guess what? It's also being a little bit more successful. Now, sure, we'll put all the pressure on and see. We'll see what happens in March, but.
We're built for March.
It's been so fun, and I think whether you're media, whether you're quasi-media, whether you're the 500 people here to watch Jack Pilgrim do a podcast,
1,000 actually right now. Currently,
that's what the number is. Then I think that the breath of fresh air that's came with this change is what it's all about. Like I feel like BBN is back. Kentucky's kind of back to what it's supposed to be, where we're all sort of pulling in the same direction. Yeah. And that was the most frustrating part of the end. Whether it was me, you, the staff, there was way too many people not pulling in the same direction at the end of last season. And that's when you had to know it was time for a change. Because at the end of the day, whether you're John Calipari, Matt Jones, Jack Pilgrim, me, we all just want Kentucky to win the basketball games. I promise you. That's all that we all want.
I don't wear this for show.
Right.
I do it because I am obsessed.
And at the end, there was way too much contention between people who just wanted Kentucky to win the basketball games.
That's what made the Selection Sunday, like, there are people that don't want, that they're rooting against us. They're not an actual real fan. I'm like, buddy, we are the fans. Like, we're just the fans with a microphone. Like,
are you looking at me?
Go Cats.
Yes, everything Brandon said, I agree with. This is stuff that we've talked about like all season long on Zoom Action and stuff like that. I will say that, every year, like when I was 21, I thought I knew so much about basketball. I'm 29 now, and I realize I know nothing about basketball. But over the last 4 or 5 months, I've learned so much more about the actual game of basketball than I had over the last 8 years. Because, not to say that, because I'm not in the coaching, I'm not in the rooms, I'm not in the scheme, the film rooms. I don't know every specific thing that they're saying and doing and all that, like Calipari specifically. But what we're seeing now is just so much more fun to watch. And I'm to the point now where I'm seeing things that I've seen on film happen in real time, and I'm like, oh my gosh, me and Brandon talked about this exact play 2 days ago on Zoom Action. I'm seeing it right now, I'm noticing it as it happens. So in a sense, it's kind of, this maybe is off the point, I guess, but it's made me more of a basketball fan, and it's made me it's really re-energized just kind of how I feel about Kentucky basketball in general. And I still know nothing about basketball, but I know so much more than I did 5 months ago just because of talking to Pope, listening to Pope, asking Brandon 100 questions about what Pope said because I have no idea what a V-back screen is or something like that. Stuff like that I just didn't know about. And now I'm learning all, because these are things that we weren't being told about in post-game press conferences, whether it was exactly. I was literally being belittled, not necessarily myself in particular, but us as a whole. We're being belittled for, being dumb essentially and not knowing anything about basketball. In a sense, he kind of wasn't wrong, I guess, but part of that was his fault because he was running an offense that worked 15 years ago and just does not now, and he's still running it at Arkansas. But it has been so much fun just being able to see real fun basketball happen in front of you, because I didn't really know anything different until until Pope came along, and it's really just made I was asking Brandon the other day about Kentucky's cutting points per possession, stuff things that I just didn't really think about last year. Kentucky, by the way, number 2 in the country in points per possession. Do you know the number off the top of your head, what the points per possession number is, Brandon?
It's 1.4.
1.4, which is insanely good if you're getting that on your back cut. So It's just so much more fun to watch this team. It really is.
Sean, let's tell the story. I think you know the story I'm about to tell while we're sharing all the, airing all the dirty laundry. So
we've been talking for 2.5 hours.
We got our hands on, and we're holding firm at 1,000 people watching.
I know what you're telling.
Shout out to the watchers here, viewers.
So we got our hands on footage of practice last season during the summer when John Welch was hired, and it was like, this renaissance of like, the offense is going to be so much more innovative than we've seen before. The archaic stuff happened the couple years beforehand, and John Welch was supposed to come in and just kind of be this like new voice, just the guy who was going to be like, hey, have you thought about this? Not that he secret to tell you guys about. John Welch never wanted to accept any of the credit publicly about it, but he was the perfect guy that would kind of toss a little mini grenade out there and have Cal take the credit for it. He would be a guy to be like, hey, have you guys thought about doing something like this? And Cal would be like, man, I think that's kind of brilliant. How about we do this, and this? Just kind of, because he never wanted any of the credit. He was a guy that stuck behind the scenes and just laid low. He never wanted media press. There's a reason why he never did press conference. He wanted to be as under the radar as
he did one. He did one.
I remember. And considering how many assistant coaches did press conferences last year, one is a pretty significant statement, in my opinion.
It just so happened that we get that film the day before we host KSR.
So the day we're at Peach Jam, the day before we're hosting KSR during the summer, we get our hands on a ton of film of the practice that UK is, the early summer practices. And Sean, some of the stuff they were running, as we're talking about, was just, we'd never seen it before. With John Calipari, with that current administration at the time. And we're watching it, and I didn't even know what Zoom action was. And Sean, watching it unfold, goes, is that Zoom? And I remember like, what the hell is Zoom action? Because we're used to floppy, we're used to circle set, like we're used to the most
dribble handoffs,
YMCA fourth grader offenses. That when we saw some innovation and like, whoa, look at what they're doing with Rob Dillingham. They're getting some get action stuff with Ugo that's leading to like it was forward thinking and different. And that KSR episode afterward where we're watching the players that we're about to see and go like trying to explain like, hey, how can we describe that we have seen it with our own two eyes and sell it like we're just kind of like, hey, I think this team would be better off by running this or putting this guy in position to score. Like it was a really difficult thing to navigate, but the secret is out.
It's out now. We just won't let anybody
I didn't know that actually. I had no idea about that.
That's why we didn't want to let people know.
That fireball shot got Jack feeling a little leaky.
Well,
with his words.
We're sitting there in the hotel room, basically just breaking it down, and
we were up till 2:00 in the morning.
Did it translate?
It did early.
We saw some.
It did early.
Good stuff.
It did early because we were able
last
to talk
year's offense
about.
Was like we're not minimizing.
The offense was top 10
how
all
good
year.
The offense was.
It just made for a really good episode or a show that next day because we had that. You couldn't have timed it any better than what we were
Jacob
able to see.
Polachek texted, "Damn, dropping the practice film secret," because Jacob was there as well.
He was. I thought we were never going to tell that one, but you know what? This is how much the last year's changed for me, and how John Calipari being in Arkansas directly impacted me. We got a player on our team who made a game winner last night who would not be with us had John Calipari not made
shout out Tate
Robinson, who
I don't know about this.
His dad works with Mark Pope.
Oh.
Nick Robinson.
No, Nick Robinson. Okay, gotcha. I didn't know that.
Tate plays for us. He hits a game winner last night against Brown Station in the
shout
final
out.
30
Well,
seconds.
thank God Cal didn't take Ray's brother with him too. Yeah,
one of the best 3-point shooters in the state, and it hit me last night. I'm like, because I saw a bunch of his family there, and they were celebrating when we came out, and I'm like, man, this move impacted me on a personal level and the team that I coach. So
crazy, right?
It's crazy when you kind of pull it apart and look at it like that. That so many different pieces have moved because of one move.
Yeah.
Is it time?
I'm about out of things to say, brother. I'm getting hungry too, by the way.
I got to go win a game before the big one.
That's a good point.
Sean has to go coach.
We got games to win. All of us. Like you have your own team to coach. We have our own team to watch.
Sean, where are you going to be watching the game tonight? Brandon, you're going, right? Brandon's going.
More than likely from my apartment, just right across from Rupp Arena.
You should go and see if you can peek through a window and see if you can. I don't know.
See into the floor.
I miss being in there with you guys, though. I miss the walk back and forth with getting you all drinks and everything.
Yeah.
You still got the voucher for concessions?
Oh, yes. It's the only way I eat on game nights, actually. So, yes, I need my Chick-fil-A sandwich at the first media time out of the second half.
All right, guys. I think 2.5 hours of doing this is
definitely do score predictions and MVP, but I want you to start a Go Big Blue chain afterwards to close us out.
Oh, is that how we want to do this?
I think that's how you should end it.
So we'll do our game MVP, pick our scores, and then I'm going to start
This Ole Miss game's getting kind of crazy too.
CATS
Auburn is up by 6
Blue.
right now with 14 minutes left against Ole Miss.
It's probably the easiest.
Yeah, do CATS. I think that's good. But yeah, we'll start.
Two differing opinions. I'm going to go CATS. Yeah, that's how we're.
Well, that's what Steven. I think Steven should get to choose because he's our resident cheerman.
Okay, that's a good point.
I'll start with my prediction. Actually, let me pull it up real quick because I already forget my score. Let's see here. So I got Kentucky 80-71. My MVP, I'm going to go Jackson Robinson because he just does very well in these games where he kind of has to fill in as a point guard. I think it helps him that he has the ball more because when he doesn't have the ball, that's when we see him kind of fade in and out. So I do think that putting him on the ball more, he's going to have another 20-point game. I think 20 points, and if you can get 3 or 4 assists out of him, maybe only a turnover or 2, then Kentucky's in very good shape. So I'll go 9-point win. Oh my gosh! Which table? Can you point them out?
Okay.
In the very back. Okay. We'll have to go say thank you then. Well, what do we got here? Shout out to NIL.
Baby, hell yeah!
Thank you, sir. Yes, I'm going Kentucky 80-71. What's your name? Mason has just delivered us some beers, courtesy of some fans over here.
Shout out Club Blue.
Shout out to Club Blue. Yes, I'm going 80-71 Kentucky. Jackson Robinson MVP, 20 points for our man from BYU.
I had 75-67. I think it's going to be ugly to start. I think the emotions are going to get in the way. I think Adu's going to try to do too much. I think Jackson's going to, try to do too much with the emotional side of things. Him saying that he has the game circled on his calendar from SEC media days. I think it's going to lead to some ugliness up front, and then I think once we get to the midway through the second half, get toward the end of the finish line, I think Kentucky's going to be able to spread it out a little bit. It's not going to be able to cover the spread, but I do think that Kentucky's going to be able to win. I think Jackson, after a slow start, is going to finish immaculately and lead Kentucky in scoring with a 20-piece once again. He's been playing unbelievable basketball in the SEC, and I'm excited to see a little bit more of it. Sean?
I'm going Kentucky 91, Arkansas 76. Ortega always my MVP.
I like it.
I think on KS board I said 77-65. If not, now I have 2 out there, so I can beat it right once or twice.
I think whichever one's closer.
I said Jackson Robinson as well. I think I said 18 points on 4 threes. I think this is a game. I mean, we saw it against Texas A&M. Well, one thing we haven't mentioned, a little Jackson Robinson revenge game. Or maybe you guys mentioned it.
Yeah,
I wasn't here.
That's true.
He played really well against Texas A&M.
Yeah.
I'm expecting another big game tonight against Arkansas. Kentucky wins, covers the spread. CATS.
There we go. All right, we ready?
Let's cheers our beers here first.
We ready? All right, cheers.
Shout out to our friends at Club Blue.
Shout out. There we go. All right, we ready?
Get it going, Jack. Well done, Jackery.
Great work, everybody. Great
That was
work.
good. Yes, sir. Go for it again. Oh, C-A-T-S, cats.
Awesome.
How you like that, John Neighbors? How you like that, bud?
Okay, I'm a Jets fan. Y'all copying the Jets shows the type of program you.
Nobody copies the Jets in anything.
Kentucky came first.
The Jets don't copy the Jets in anything. Kick rocks. Down go the Hogs. Go Cats. Cats by 90. It's been an unbelievable almost 3 hours with you guys. Thank you. We love each and every one of you. Time to go kick Arkansas's ass. Woo!